Is brought to you by Palermo's. When you want pizza, you want Palermo's. Made right here in Wisconsin for over 55 years. Palermo's, Wisconsin's hometown pizza. Welcome to 9 to Noon.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody. Welcome in. It's 9 to Noon on a spectacular Thursday in the good land. You're not seeing anything. But you know what? It's a good day. Just trust us. Trust and believe that it's going to continue to get better. And at some point, you might see the stoplight that's about half a mile in front of you with the incredible fog that is just descending all over the southeastern portion of the state of Wisconsin. What's good? It's 9 to Noon. Billy Schmidt, Armin Sari, and John Kuhn clocked in, ready to go, ready to talk Packers defensive coordinator vacancy. And suddenly, okay, didn't take that long to make the defensive coordinator decision. Also, not that long for all the strength and conditioning folks. Guys, this is one of the gripes. And John, you playing. So Armin and I have heard this from fans forever while you guys were, battling throughout wins and losses and seasons in and out. There is always a common thread. There is always folks want the defensive coordinator out and people say, that trainer, they always got guys getting hurt. They should get rid of that training staff. They should get rid of that. They got to get rid of that strength guy. Well, they finally did. Chris Gizzi out. And Chris Gizzi, now, many people will remember him for a lot of different things. I'll never forget Chris Gizzi for holding that American flag out on the first Monday night football game after 9/11. I was there against the Washington Redskins. I mean, that was one of the more electric moments of all time. But the Packers, not wasting any time, John, not fully cleaning house. We were told it wasn't a house cleaning on the defensive side. Some guys might still have their jobs, but the strength and conditioning staff is going to be flipped on over there at Green Bay.
Yeah, and they're fixing every problem at once. And you hope that it's a process in which, we got to fix. And we brought in a kicker, Billy. Did you see that?
And
we brought in a kicker as well. So it's like a lot of stuff to get done. It's like, okay, well, I didn't like the way the car performed in the corner, so we're going to put new tires on. I didn't like the acceleration, so we're going to put some nitro on there. I also didn't like, the way my butt felt after sitting in this seat for 4 hours, so we're going to change the seat, formation.
We get a little padding.
They're doing everything to the car at one time. Bang, 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 all these things. And, here's the trouble. When you're doing that, you got to really make sure you prioritize these things. Strength and conditioning. Something has to be done about the hamstring issues. We've been talking about it for decades in Green Bay. Here's my deal on hamstrings. They happen because we all have them. And some people run faster than others. So hamstrings happen. A lot of times it's with the player. How does the player do? I will never, ever understand where a hamstring injury gets put on a trainer. And they can say, strength and conditioning coach, I should say, and they can say, and there are rare instances where a strength and conditioning coach has these guys crushing weights the way they're not supposed to be doing. That is extremely rare in the NFL. Strength and conditioning coaches in the NFL are making sure you're getting your bare minimum in so that you're not creating a deficiency for your body. Rarely are these strength and conditioning coaches pushing anybody to the point where they are hindering their ability to recover or be better. I cannot believe it. I won't believe it. But the Packers have a serious hamstring problem. And the reason why it's so serious is because it's coming in the form of what they want to be their wide receiver one. And for 2 years, hamstring issues, major hamstring issues. So what are we going to do? We're going to find a guy that knows how to train for hamstrings. Chris Gizzi is a casualty of an unfortunate situation because these things are on the players. It's your job. You're a professional athlete. You need to find the way. The Packers can give you help. The teams can give you help to try and figure this thing out. But this is, I'm going to say it, this is a Christian Watson problem.
Sure.
To try and figure out the hamstring. And unfortunately, hey, when things don't work right, certain people have to bite the bullet. It's not going to be Christian Watson yet. He's not going to be the one biting the bullet yet, and Chris Gizzi is.
Well, in John, I've struggled to understand, especially with the changes in the CBA, with the less amount of time that they're necessarily at the facility, less days, weeks that you're training in Lambeau Field. Like, how much hands-on work does the strength and conditioning guy have? Like, where Brady Collins was the first guy that Luke Fickell, when he took over at Madison, hired. He was his first call. He's like, we need him because for my player development at the college level, I know what he's going to do in the offseason, where strength and conditioning coach is one of the most important guys at the collegiate level, because you're there for 330 days of the 365, right? Like, it's so much less than even when you were playing. That how much say and how much work does he have? You're saying it's much more of like a retention balancing act than where in the college level you're building players, right? You're working on the training, the development. There's got to be a heck of an alignment going in with the head coach.
Think about college. College is different. You got kids coming in at 17 to 22 years old for the most part. That's 95% of what your collegiate athlete is. So 17-year-olds, they lifted in high school, but they didn't lift this way.
Didn't lift like this.
They didn't lift to become grown men, and that's what's happening in college. And your body can take it. Then your body can really take it. In the NFL, you're dealing with ages 21 to 40 now. So each player has to be specifically monitored. And with that being said, you have to create some sort of workout routine so that those players don't lose during the season. That's the majority of the work for a strength and conditioning coach, is not losing during the season, keeping your body healthy and strong throughout the course of a regular season. The off-season program, man, they eliminated the off-season program.
They split it in half.
You don't have a building session in the off-season anymore. It used to be 9 weeks of build. You'd come in there and build with the strength coach. And these strength coaches back then, you came in and you did build. And that's when guys would take the first month off after the season, if not 6 weeks of doing nothing. They did nothing. So when they came back to the off-season program, they had to be built back up, and they were built back slowly, and they were built back stronger. Well, now you have this long off season, which goes until the middle of April. Think about that. It's going to be all but 3 months before the Green Bay Packers players get back in here, or at least, suggested to get back in there, because that's not even mandatory. It's suggested.
It's a suggestion. That's
to be back in there. So now you got 3 months of each player individually having to prepare their body for a season. That's on the players. It's not on that strength coach.
Players, and then like their agency, right? Like, I mean, so many different agencies are the ones that line you up with the different training workouts, off-season training spots, like out in California.
Right.
And John, the tough thing is, Armin, your take on this too, like the toothpaste never going back in the tube when we talk about players hitting more during training camp or being on the field more during training camp. Could this one be something that gets tweaked in the future, John, or is this similar of, this stuff's gone? Like the amount of time of players getting back in here by middle of March, having a little bit more hands-on work with the organization's training staff, that stuff's all gone, right? Like, I mean, we're going to lose more days than gain more days.
Now you can come in and train with your team if you want to train with your team, but most guys, and this is a fact, most guys believe they get more out of their training if they're not with the teams. The majority, that's like 90% of NFL players believe they're going to get greater gains. They're going to optimize what they have physically by going outside the team. Most guys aren't going to come back. They're especially not coming back to Green Bay where it's cold in the offseason. They're going to train somewhere warm. Some of these teams in Miami and LA, they might get players to come in there because they live there and they enjoy living there. But players aren't coming to Green Bay to live in the offseason. Not many. There are a few, right? If they're not here because of an injury that they incurred during the season before, they're not going to be here in the offseason. So they're leaving. They're getting out of town and they're going to train with somebody else. Those trainers don't necessarily train you for football. Some do.
Athlete
but some are like, man, this guy wants to jump 44 inches in the air. He runs to run a 4.3, and he wants to be absolutely yoked so that when we take a picture with him before with his shirt off and after with his shirt off, we could say, look at the gains that this guy made.
And the hype.
That's that's the cold, hard facts. That's the absolute truth. And players are, a lot of them, they're young, they buy into it, and they do this. And and then you got to get the correlation back with your team when you come back. The team doesn't really have enough time to really get you back into that spot. And if you don't have the time to be built up by your team the appropriate way, you're going out there and your training that you did in the offseason is what you're relying on to get you through the offseason program, training camp. And the same little thing happens between mandatory mini camp, which is the second week of June, and training camp, which is the third to fourth week of August. It's the same break. They get the same break. They go to the same guys, and then they leave. And then they come back, and you expect them to be able to hit the ground running in training camp, 3 days, no pads. Then you're in full pads. A lot of the guys, man, it's an adjustment period. And this has all been a part of the collective bargaining agreement and everything else. And you wonder where the good thing at the end of the day, it's on the player. It's on the player more than anybody else.
So they're into their specialized training more with their guys in their location. So then I guess I've always maybe been naive to it, that I always kind of thought of strength coaches and medical staffs as sort of like that the variance maybe isn't there, like sort of like a bullpen catcher. Like it's a guy, it's not a guy that they all kind of have the same impact, or they all have the similar impact, similar strategies. You have one, it's there, but I wonder how much does a player think of, well, what was the point of getting rid of our strength coach?
So I'm gonna tell you, 13 years in the NFL, I had probably 6 different strength coaches. Between, first team out in Pittsburgh, we had a strength coach for my first 2 years. Going into Tomlin's first year, he had a new strength coach. We worked with that guy, and there were some differences there. There was a smoothing out period between that new strength coach and the players in 2007, right? And
the veteran players, it sounds like.
And then I came into Green Bay, and we had one strength coach, and then we had a second strength coach when I was in Green Bay, and then I had one down in New Orleans. So I had 5 strength coaches in 15 years.
And the strategies differed greatly.
I had 5 coaches in 13 years. And let me tell you, every single one, I did more than what they asked me to, because that's what I needed to do. That's what I wanted to do. They will give you the minute, because their number one thing is to have players healthy and not lose.
Yes.
They want to be healthy and not lose what they came in with, what they came into the season with. And every single strength coach in the NFL that I had, I did extra. It's on the player.
Yeah, it makes sense. I just wonder also, like, the strategy difference. Is it much, different? The program difference, what the strength program has. I've always kind of, and I've said this before, and it's a little different because this is more about medical staffs, but medical strength training, I guess it kind of all goes in sports training and sports medicine, that I always thought it was like, when there's a bunch of injuries, a rash of injuries, there's the bottom of the barrel of sports fan reaction, where it's like, fire our medical staff, fire the trainers, they're doing something wrong. I always thought that was like the lowest form of
that's
logic.
Speed dial number 4.
That was like the lowest form at the bottom of the barrel. So then I guess when I see something like Chris Gizzi, like, it does make me raise my eyebrows. And I ask myself, is it just that I'm not paying attention and this does tend to happen? Or is this unusual? Because I'm like, did they think that his program was bad? Did they think it wasn't worth it? Or was it just like part of a staff that it turns over sometimes? Those are the things I wonder about. Because I'll be honest, I was a bit surprised to see it. And I was wondering, okay, maybe they just didn't like his strategy, or maybe they want to find something new. We joke about how, like, Christian Watson's looking for his extra information about how he can get his hamstring better. And the information's the same out there that every strength trainer is going to give you. But maybe there is a totally different program and a different strategy they're going to look toward.
Now,
I guess that's kind of the confusion I had with it when I first saw it.
Chris was in the organization when you were there, John, right? Because he's been in the organization in some capacity, it says, since 2013.
Yeah, he was assistant strength coach under Mark Lavatt.
Okay.
He was the head strength coach. And then they swapped the roles because Gizzi was ready to be elevated.
Yep.
I think it was 2019.
2019, right after LaFleur got the job. Yep.
So he got elevated, and Bloke took a back seat there and stayed within the program as well. But here's the deal. The Packers externally are seen to have a huge problem with soft tissue injuries. Now, going into the Denver game this year, which was, I believe, week 7, our soft tissue injuries were way below our average. And I was talking with a couple people about it. And what's the deal? Why guys have been doing a better job of taking care of themselves. Guys have been doing a better job of doing their extra, doing their work that they have to do, taking care of their bodies. And at week 7, we were good. There was something that happened there. Week 10, week 8, week 10, week 12. And keep in mind, we got a young team. These guys are still trying to learn their process, perfect their process. So weeks 10, 11, 12, that's longer than a college that's getting to a college football season, and you're done. You're shutting it down at that point in time. And now you're into the dog days where you say rookies hit the wall or young guys hit the wall towards the end of the season. And then the soft tissue injuries started developing again.
Well, and that's going to be one part of it, right? Well, as you get older, does the end of the season, can you peak a little bit better, or do you keep running into a tick of a wall? The Chris Gizzy news is fascinating. I don't know if this is similar to X's and O's defensive coordinator, where I think it really matters if you've worked with someone before, right? Like strength staff, training staff, equipment staff. They can be some of the most important guys to your organization, to your building, because they can kind of set, I think, like the culture behind the scenes, the feeling, the vibes in the building. But a lot of times they stay, whether or not the coach goes or gets fired or they bring in a new guy, right? Like especially equipment staff and medical staff, they're in there throughout. So you got a good medical staff, you got a good equipment staff. A lot of times you're going to have a positive vibes building. Strength and conditioning, college, it's got to be hardcore alignment. I don't know if it's the same necessarily, John, in the NFL. Maybe it is more of just pull somebody in here that you've worked with before, you know this guy, or maybe ownership says, hey, why don't you bring this guy on over and he can help you with all this coaching stuff that you got going on.
Look around the league. Every team has soft tissue injuries. Every single one.
It is
Because
football.
It's the reality of football.
The same number of players on every team are having this. And some soft tissue injuries are because of fatigue. They're overworked. Some soft tissue injuries are because they don't work enough. And then when they finally hit that high octane level, they pop it out. And then some are due to, an acute, it's called an acute injury, where you're stuck in a situation where you can't help but, you're overextended and you're trying to flex the muscle because you get put in a compromising position, then you pull it there. Those can't be helped whether you train properly and you're rested. Some of those can't even be helped. But nonetheless, you have this all around the league. So I'm just saying simply this as it pertains to the Packers situation. Now they made a move. What happens if we have soft tissue injuries
Better get
next
better.
year? What happens next year?
Right.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah. And there's a lot of other people.
You're trying to do something. You got to applaud the Packers for one thing. They're trying to do something.
No doubt about it. It's not the status quo that many people thought was going to keep Joe Barry in town. It's not the status quo that the Milwaukee Bucks are keeping. And on the other side of the break, we have the Doc Rivers contract information. It's going to make you chuckle.
I'd be remiss. I have to jump in. I'd be remiss if I didn't say, for me, Chris Gizzy's most memorable moment, I think for a lot of Packer fans, he ran out the American flag after the first game after 9/11.
Yeah, that's a joke, right?
That's got to be a joke.
Why?
You're joking with this again, right?
What's the joke?
This is coming off of yesterday's heel. You're joking.
That was like the
joke?
first thing I said about Chris Gizzy.
No, I'm just saying that I remember the most. Of course, that's a joke. Yes, I was trying to be funny. It's a good callback. I was trying to be funny. Did it
was
work?
a good callback. Yes. Great job. Hey, high five.
I just want to say Air Force
Great
Falcon,
work.
Chris Gizzy.
Yes, great work. Doc Rivers contract
Even
news.
when I'm trying to be funny, all right? Even when I'm trying to, okay. But I do remember. No one will ever
We
forget
do remember that. No one can ever forget that, even that the video is not really online. Coming right back. It's 9 to noon on the game.
Man, I've been waiting all night, man. That's how long I've been on ya.
This was obviously a difficult decision. Adrian is a great person, brought a lot to the franchise. We're thankful for that, and I'm thankful for the time that we had with him. But we also believe that we had an opportunity now with a special group, the talent on this team. The dynamic of the team has changed. The team itself had changed from when we hired him, and we felt like we had an opportunity to improve and to get better. And we wanted to take advantage of that opportunity. I also would say that we believe that this is a good team right now. And with improvements, we have a chance to be great. We're looking for a way to really make this a great team. That's on me. That's on the players. That's on coaching. And we're going to continue to pursue that effort as well.
That was John Horst from the Jim Paschke interview room yesterday at Fiserv Forum. This is 9 to noon on the Game and our Game Network stations. John Kuhn right there. I'm Billy Schmidt, Armin Sarian on the board, hanging out with you at 414-799-1973. So last night, most of my options were wrong, guys, on my Twitter poll question that I had put out as to what would Doc Rivers' role be in last night's Bucks game, in which they end up pulling away and, well, led wire to wire, got maybe a little less comfortable than we would have liked late in the game, late stanzas of the game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. But the Bucks win 126-116, pull away just at the end in a very exciting fourth quarter. However, that pregame, I had wondered, Doc Rivers going to be potentially coaching the game tonight. Doc Rivers going to be with the owners over in the suite on the other side of the floor. Will they please hire somebody else? No agreement yet. Well, last night there was still no agreement technically yet, although Doc Rivers' name gets mentioned by John Horst just to say, hey guys, this isn't about Doc tonight. All right. This is not what we're doing here tonight.
We're not talking about Doc.
Not talking about Doc tonight.
Yeah.
All right. This is about Adrian. This is about Adrian Griffin's time. Okay, thanks. Well, that eliminates about half the questions of what we were going to ultimately get on into, because now it can be about Doc, and now it will be about Doc, because Shams Charania of The Athletic and Stadium now says, sources reporting, that the Doc Rivers signing of the contract is about to be done. And the contract is through 2026, 2027. In the range of $40 million for Doc Rivers to become the next head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Man, there's money there now, huh? There's no more scrimping pennies to not sign PJ Tucker and luxury taxes, huh? $40 million.
That means Milwaukee will be paying out former coaches Mike Budenholzer, Adrian Griffin, and now Doc Rivers for the next 3.5 years.
Not one.
How much money
Not
is
two.
invested in that? How much are the tickets going up at Fiserv? How much does it cost for a jersey at the Pro Shop, Armin? Can you get a beer for less than $20?
I actually don't think that part's going to change much. It's already expensive, but I don't think that part's going to change much. You know, we did have this
Don't
debate.
think that's going to change
Well,
much.
hold on, because it's already expensive. We did have, I mean, if it goes up, it goes up anyway, inflation, whatever. We did have this debate.
Oh, whatever. We're saying
I'm
whatever.
I'm not happy, but I'm just saying that's the reality of life anyway. It'll go up anyway. But we did talk about this when Jimmy Haslam came in. Like, is it good to have a check writer? Is it not good to have a check writer? Is it good to have pockets? Is it good to just have a guy there? Listen, if you want to, they're paying what, 3 coaches right now? Or is it 4?
Three
Three coaches.
Yep.
And I'm going to go out there on a limb and say, for some reason, I don't want to wish bad, I don't know if Doc's going to finish his tenure out until from 27.
4 years, about $10 million a year.
At some point, we're going to be paying 4 coaches, or probably what it is. It is what it is. This is the money. This is the big money aspect of competitive sports, right? If competitive pro sports, if you're trying to push toward winning all the time, these changes occur.
Which, listen, we're having a fun time riding that ride right now. And
Right.
It sounds great. But if you have all that money and you are in a position where you can move on very quickly when things look sour, do you ever get the chance to build? Do you ever get the chance to grow? Do you think Adrian Griffin, had he been given a full year, would have been able to turn around whatever it is that wasn't working for them? Could he have potentially? I mean, he got half a season.
Mhm.
Is half a season enough time to really learn as a first-time head coach what you need to do, instill those things, and have the guys adapt and be able to do it? Now, I think they made the right move.
Yep.
It from all, and Giannis's interview yesterday was fascinating because he made it sound like
stunned.
I don't have anything to do with these things. This is much above my pay grade. I get paid to buy in, befriend, and win basketball games. So Giannis made it sound like this was not his choice. This was the organization's choice. And this is fat checks making these decisions. And if that's the case, Armin, can you be too impulsive? Do you ever let this thing play its course, run its course, and get to where you need to go to actually make a full educated decision?
Sorry. That's a good question, John. I think there's a fine line, and it's a game of chicken with yourself when you're in that position, in John Horst's position, between being too patient and too impulsive. And I think they're going to always err on the side of urgency. They're always going to err on the side of being aggressive. At least John Horst is in his position, especially in this league, John. I think the NBA, more than any other league, gives coaches less time. I still remember back to when Terry Porter was fired back in 2005. I thought that was kind of quick. This was like a long, long time ago. Feels like a different generation now in the NBA. I guess it is. Yeah, John, there's a risk there. I mean, let's flip it back to the Packers. If the Packers gave up on Jordan Love too soon, what would have happened? The Packers gave up on Aaron Rodgers when he was a backup in 2005 after that first year. What would have happened? The history might look completely different. There's a chance Adrian Griffin might have grown into a great coach in 2 or 3 years. But the Bucks, look at it as we had this window. We have to take advantage of every chance we get, and we're not risking losing that time just to see if something can develop. Now, then you can say they shouldn't have hired him in the first place, and that's the flip side of it. But if you make a mistake, there's no wrong time to make the right decision, right?
Right. It's never the wrong time to make the right decision. And John, I think if I answer both of those questions, the first one, is it enough time? And also for the players to learn how to play together on the offense and defensive side, right? And figure out each other's deficiencies, because that was
a lot of changed pieces there, Billy.
Big time. And that was one of the big conversation points around it once they made the Dame trade, like 3 days before training camp opened, right? Like, let's also put that in here, that he gets brought in, media day is the next day. So like, that's how quickly it was for them to initiate the different plan. But the quote from Giannis that you're mentioning last night, that is really surprising, telling. I think it's very interesting, because there is a sense, and I don't believe it's wrong, that he had a decent amount to do in the signing off of the Adrian Griffin hiring. He said, I've got a lot of trust in the front office. I got a lot of trust in the ownership group, that they consider the bigger picture. And my job is to be the best version of myself to lead this team out there and help win games. Their job is to create the best team possible, the best atmosphere around the team possible, that they believe gives us the best chance to win a championship. But I do think firing Coach Griffin was a surprise. Giannis continues in just 1 second. I loved the guy. I invited him to my wedding. I was coached by him, and we did very, very, very well. When somebody is being hired, the GM might come and ask, what do you think about that? What do you think about this? Or whatever. And not just me, players, people that he trusts with their advice. At times, they make it seem like the players are making the decision. That was Giannis after the game last night.
And that is true. I mean, we do, media does, everyone does, fans do make it sound like the players run it all the time. And maybe for good reason, right? Maybe that's what happens most of the time in the league. We don't, obviously we're skeptical. You guys are skeptical about Giannis.
I'm skeptical because I think about it this way, and you guys can tell me if you differ. Tony Evers might not write every law that goes in the state of Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah.
You know what he's got, though?
Influence, right?
Veto power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He can say, you know what? Yeah,
Billy,
we're not signing that off.
And that's the key thing here. It's, to me, I get the impression, it could be completely wrong. I get the impression that the Milwaukee Bucks wanted a big name. They wanted a splash. They wanted to go potentially this route or a Nick Nurse route.
Sorry, this is the offseason. Okay, yes.
In the offseason.
Yep.
They wanted to go Doc Rivers, Nick Nurse, something of that variety.
Mm-hmm.
And when they asked Giannis, what did you think? Giannis was, I really like this Adrian Griffin guy.
Right.
You know, he's cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's not that he might not have said anything negative about the other two, or he might have, but he might have just given his impression on the moment. And that impression was enough to have a decision be made. And the reason I say that is because if the ownership had felt the same way about Adrian Griffin from the start as Giannis does right now, you get more than half a year.
Yeah,
you get half a year, right? To make a mistake and to decide it's a mistake half a season in, when you have the second best record in the NBA, the only way you can look at that as a mistake is if you were questioning it to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you didn't feel comfortable hiring him, and that's where yesterday, because I've slept on it, and I think right now Doc is probably the only guy available that would make any sense for what they do specifically need
and want to do this year, right?
But I'm still, John, bent out of shape about the offseason. And that's the part that I still struggle to get through my head of, you obviously didn't trust the hire to begin with. Then why do we trust this hire? I mean, you have to, because it's here and it's in the now, and they're paying him $40 million to coach the team for the next 4 years. But I think it can work this year. I think it might be, it's the best possibility in a bad spot. But damn, you've now put yourself in a bad spot twice in the last 9-10 months, potentially, if you believe that all of this starts from maybe a little too rash of a decision in firing Bud after the first round exit.
Yeah, but I mean, Bud put Giannis on the ball for the sideline when he is your best rim protector.
That's it. Yeah.
And
then we did get into that Miami series, and it's
but
a
I
lot
just,
harder to
dude,
defend.
once you say that, I can't go into it.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. And there was timeouts not called. There was, I mean,
challenge 90 seconds into game 5. Oh,
that's just the way it. Yeah, that's the way this league works. If you underachieve, you're going to be moved. It doesn't mean that you were always a terrible coach or they think you have a bad flaw. It just means that changes are going to occur. And the way I look at the Giannis piece is this. I think people assume that it's always when they say this guy makes a decision or it's his call. It's like you said, John, it's not him pounding on the table and saying, this is what I want. It's they're going to take it happen. They're going to take his opinion very strongly. I also feel like it might be one of those things where he doesn't have to say anything. If those guys are around the team, if John Horst is around the group and they can sense how Giannis feels and they can sense how he is feeling without him saying it, they can figure it out without him saying it, right? He doesn't have to say it. He might be surprised. He might not have to say, guys, I want Adrian out now. We have to make a move. But if he's not happy and they know that, then they're gonna make a move accordingly.
I do agree with Giannis that I believe Giannis did not fire Adrian Griffin. I do believe him in that. I do believe he never said one word, one ill word like, we need to get this guy out of here.
Exactly.
I believe the management looked around and they're like, man, this is not working. And they probably told some players, and the players were like, it's tough right now.
You're probably
it's
right.
tough.
Yeah.
And they probably thought to themselves, I wouldn't do it. I don't have it in me to fire somebody. But if they do it, hey, we're probably going to get better. We might actually address some things we need to address. Maybe we just all get on the same page. Maybe we just need a change in the environment, a change in the atmosphere, much to the same, conversation with the Packers and a defensive coordinator. Much there. Hey, maybe it's not the X's and O's, but it's just a vibe. Maybe it's just a vibe. Maybe it's a pressure to put on the players. Hey, we got your new defensive coordinator now. You need to start performing a little better. Maybe it's the same with Chris Gizzi and the strength coach. Hey, we got a new strength coach. Now, why aren't you guys healthy? Or are you guys not doing what you have to do off the court? It applies a different feel, a different energy, a different type of pressure.
I love how Dame kind of summed up very much what you just said there. There's been a lot of expectations on our team. Things are expected to look a certain way. We've had a bumpy road to our start. Sometimes it's a part of the process. I was surprised, but it is a part of the game. People get traded, people get waived, people get fired. It's never something you want to see. But now we got to make it better. And I think that's one of the big parts of it. The team looked a lot happier last night.
I don't know, man. That whole dancing conga line.
I like that little gritty conga line around in a circle.
And they got, I don't know about if you believe in new coach bounce. I mean, they definitely played well last night. They got a win against the team
from wire to wire.
Against a team that absolutely smacked them around a couple days ago.
For people that are interested, they shut the box. That means first quarter cover, first half cover,
nice,
full game cover. Many people happy at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino last night.
Do you know anybody like that?
I met somebody that potentially shut the box last night, thanks to the Milwaukee Bucks. Matt Schneidman coming up here in 20 minutes. We'll discuss some defensive coordinator candidates there. One guy off the market that we didn't even get to do the show about. We didn't even get to do do you want this guy who's tormented the Packers for the last decade as a defensive coordinator? Do you want him as the new Packers defensive coordinator? So apparently he's already got a job. We'll fill you in next on it. It's 9 to noon on the game.
I got that good love, girl, you didn't know. Think of that song on how it's so long. Thought he worked his until I handled
fairness, he didn't just say we need to be coached better. So he talked about himself being better as teammates. I think the equipment manager, the trainer, me, whoever, that kind of went through the whole list. This is not about players' comments. This is not about things said or unsaid. This is my job. This is the organization's job at the top to evaluate every single day, all areas of the organization, and feel like whether we're getting or not getting the most that we can out of that group. And we feel like we could maximize the talent of this group better if we made a change. That's why we made it.
John Horst last night before the Bucks beat the Cavs 126-116 at Fiserv Forum, just kicking around during the break. It is difficult to think about Adrian Griffin now getting another job, because later on in that press conference, John Horst came to the defense of Griffin a couple of times, said at one point, guys, the narrative that's out there that he lost the locker room is what really aggravates him. Says that couldn't be further from the truth. Maybe I beg to differ that, but that's what they want to say. That's what they're letting on out there. John, he also talked about Griffin, and he said it this way: he is a head coach. This was just not the right fit. Now, I don't know which position is worse to be in for your prospects of getting a head coaching job down the line, because Adrian Griffin fired 2 days ago, 30-13. One of the best teams in basketball, 2 top 75 players of all time. Hard to say that that's not a great gig to have. Or you could be like Wes Unsfeld Jr., who was fired here this morning, or moved to a different role in the front office, and your assistant coach is now going to be the head coach. Not fully fired, but moved up in the organization. No longer the head coach. Which spot do you think gives you a better chance to become a head coach? You get half a season with the worst roster in basketball, and somebody goes, yeah, nobody was going to win in Washington. I mean, they got Jordan Poole, who said at 26, he's already won an NBA championship. His NBA career is set. Like, he's done. Like, he's already accomplished what he has to in the NBA. Or complete other side of the teeter-totter, you got maybe the best roster in basketball with all the expectations. You win, but not enough. That's a hard spot to meet in the middle, but I do think Griffin probably has a better chance to become a head coach again.
Oh, you do? See, I think people look at the players, and when they see a team having success making a move at the coaching position, they say, well, that coach has failed because those players were good enough to carry a bad situation. For you to fire a coach with the second best record in any league, there has to be something going on.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be something, because the production's there. The wins are there. I understand defensive efficiency was ranked, what, Armin, 20th overall in the NBA?
Yeah, it was 23rd or 25th. It was in the 20s, and then they were second in offense. So
they were second in offense.
Yeah, it was a back and forth between first and second.
So you could really get nutty here and analytical and say defensive-minded Adrian Griffin had an underperforming defensive production, but an over productive offensive performance. Well, that clearly can't be him because he's the defensive mind, and you got Giannis and Dame, 2 of the elite scorers in the NBA. Oh, by the way, you got Chris there as well. So you got guys doing their part to just carry this team to wins. So you almost take away the success that he had there as a coach. Same with Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers, 3 straight 13-win seasons to start his tenure as a head coach. It wasn't going to be validated that Matt LaFleur was a good head coach until he did it without Aaron, or until he had some serious adversity. And that's why I give Matt LaFleur a boatload of credit for what happened this year. 9-8, 1 game better than last year, just 1 game better. But didn't it feel different? Didn't it seem different? And that's because of the players, the actual tools that he's doing it with. And now it might come to fruition that Jordan Love is one of those guys like Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, and Matt LaFleur might be able to just ride that wave. But you know what? He had to build that wave with Jordan Love. Much different than coming in when that wave's already cresting with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, very fair. So I think it'll take the right situation. I think it's one of those where it's just as likely someone will say, well, you know what? The team wasn't good at defense, but Adrian wanted to play an aggressive style with non-athlete, like that would work better with a young athletic team that the Bucks didn't have. So with our young team that's going to grow with athletes, that might be a better fit to set a foundation of defensive intensity. You know, he still has a lot of wins in that tenure. I mean, Adrian Griffin probably has the best head coaching record in NBA history. right? I mean,
third best win percentage of a coach that's been fired
So-
mid-season. The other one that would have been the change would have been the Paul Westphal or Westphal one that from the winning side.
Yeah. And my favorite thing to say about sports that really pisses a lot of people off is whether you're talking about players, coaches, personnel departments, or referees, they're human beings. There's a human
that does
element.
piss people off.
There's a
Yeah, that does.
human
hate that.
element to all of this. And people don't understand that some people just don't like other people, or maybe they like them. They just think they're a little dorky, or maybe they like them, but just don't like how they want to do things. There is a huge, and those things could work. They just don't want to do them that way. They are all human beings. And you have to find this weird X's and O's version of yourself and this weird, like, cool person, identifying, body of yourself to be able to relate to players, whether you're a player and you're trying to relate with your teammates and create a bond, whether you're a coach and you're trying to inspire, whether you're a GM and you're trying to give them faith that you're putting this best team together. I mean, it all comes together here. And to win a championship, you need a blend of those two things. And to me, the production was there. I don't believe this is an analytical thing. I believe this was some sort of a connective tissue thing between the players and the coach. And heck, it might even be between players and players. And the coach was the chasm between the two.
The tough thing is, John, also the coach is the easiest one to get rid of, right? Like, I mean, because they don't have much flexibility,
especially in the NBA,
and especially for this team, because they don't have a whole lot of flexibility. They don't have picks to trade. They don't really have a whole lot of player assets that they're going to be moving on from.
Don't we kind of really like our players?
Yeah,
don't we
you like
really
your
like
players.
this?
Yes, we're absolutely more connected to that.
We're
than
not
we are Adrian
attached
Griffin.
yet. We're not attached yet to Adrian Griffin.
No one's attached to Adrian Griffin. Like, maybe that'll be in some places that could be different, especially college. You're attached to a head coach.
Adrian Griffin
Maybe in
is kind of
Miami.
like the cousin that got married her husband, right? Like, okay, we know the guy. He seems all right at the family reunions. But man, if they break up, I mean, we're gonna stick with her.
It's like
we're gonna keep her.
It's like in forgetting Sarah Marshall. You're not even blood. I can cut you off right now.
And
Don't worry
here's,
about it. Doesn't matter.
and here's the other thing
Not
that's
Pat Connaughton. You don't have a ring.
it's true. The other thing that's crass about it, and maybe it sounds crass to say, but when
Probably
people
will be.
talk about, will this hinder his chances? Did they screw him getting their head job? He interviewed many times for head coaching
14
jobs.
times.
14 times. So if he was that in demand, he might have gotten a job already. The Bucks were the one team to give him a shot, give him a payday. Guess what? He's still going to get paid as good as he ever got, even in firing, right? With that's the reality of it. He
Money
got
can't
the
always
payday.
buy happiness, Armin.
And you're right about that, Billy. You're right.
Yeah, money can't always buy
But
happiness.
I just get the feeling that a lot of people do consider that
Yeah.
an important part of their job structure and stuff like that.
can buy
But
you a
you're
boat,
right.
though.
It's not all about money, and people obviously trust him as an assistant. He should be getting jobs. So people say, like, oh, they feel bad for him. He might not get a head job. I'm like, look, he also got one, and he's going to get paid for it pretty well.
Yeah.
So
So just cry and wipe your tears away with that money, and it's okay.
he might never have gotten the job. You have to look at it a couple ways. It's all about life perspective, though. That's a whole totally different show.
Yes. Yeah.
Totally different.
It's
day.
all just relative.
Yeah.
It's all just relative. 414-799-1973 is the phone number. Matt Schneidman is coming up next. Vic Fangio is out in Miami, but he's not coming to Green Bay. Who might be as the new defensive coordinator? We'll chop it up with our friend from The Athletic, Matt Schneidman's next 9 to noon on the game.
But never seems that long until you're grown and notice that the day-by-day ruler can't be too wrong. Miss Jackson, my intentions were good. I wish I could become a magician to abracadabra all the sadder. Thoughts of me, thoughts of she, thoughts of he, asking what happened to the feeling that her and me had. I pray so much about it, need some knee pads. It happened for a reason, one can't be mad. So know this, know that everything's cool. And yes, I will be present on the first day of school and graduation. Sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh.
It's 9 to noon, hanging out with our friend Matt Schneidman. A couple more days before we say au revoir, say goodbye for the week, or not really the week, for a couple of months.
Well
I think
done.
so. I think so. I don't even know if it was the right word in French because I didn't take French. I took Spanish 7 years.
Really
Growing
working the foreign languages in this. That's
Well,
impressive work.
The thing is, working with Drew Olson, that man, I've never seen somebody use the Duolingo app more than Drew. And the fact that he doesn't have an endorsement for it is a
Crazy.
real shame.
Yeah.
Because we'll just be driving back from Green Bay. All of a sudden, we're in the middle of Sheboygan. And ¿Cómo estás? Who's in? Oh, it's Drew's phone talking to him. And that's not even with Happy Place Hemp in me. Happy Place Hemp, happyplacehemp.com, the best place to go and get your hemp products. Delta 8, Delta 9 gummies. That's for relaxation and recreation. Probably not good if you are an electrician, as it has been mentioned on our talking text line, to enjoy Delta 8, Delta 9 gummies before work. CBD gummies, full spectrum. That kind of stuff can help with your daily aches and pains. That stuff usually is safe, but go and talk to our friends at Elevated Hemp Solutions, Rob and Chris. They'll ease your mind and stress with all the information possible and set you up with some great products at happyplacehemp.com. Promo code RELAX, RELAX, gets 25% off every time at happyplacehemp.com. Matt, appreciate it as always, man. Now, I would joke and say nothing has changed since we talked to you yesterday at 10, maybe not for the Green Bay Packers, but one guy that was not necessarily available yesterday that I was excited to talk about today being available is no longer available in Vic Fangio, going from the Miami Dolphins to the Eagles. Now, there's some conversation that he wanted to get closer to home. He's from North Philly. Makes a lot of sense. Is this something that we can see of coordinators just deciding, hey, man, thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to go take the same job somewhere else. Knew it in college, didn't think that it would be a thing coming in here in the NFL.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You know, I guess it had to be a mutual parting of ways since I'm assuming he was under contract. So you obviously have to weigh the guy's contract situation if a team's willing to let him go. But the Green Bay Packers job is a big-time job because it's not, yes, there are 32 defensive coordinator jobs, even fewer defensive coordinator jobs that have that position call plays. But this Packers team is a team that might be a defensive coordinator shy of making a Super Bowl push. So this job is going to be highly coveted.
Yeah. And it's a near impossible position to walk into because since the beginning of time, it's been the defensive coordinator that catches all the fodder and all the bullets from the fans. And, you know, it's impressive to me that everybody says they don't, you know, they enjoy watching football that has offense in it, except they don't want the other team's offense to show anything against the Green Bay Packers defense. They want all shutouts. My question to you is, Matt, how likely is it that the Packers go with a big name? How likely is it that it's a big name that comes in to be the new defensive coordinator, or are we all going to be jaw dropped, nearly shocked, and Matt Schneidman's going to have to give a bio of the new man that's brought in here to be defensive coordinator?
Yeah, it depends on what Matt LaFleur wants. Last time around, he obviously didn't care about getting a big name. He got Joe Barry. He felt he needed the right guy, and I have no reason to believe he won't take that approach again. Matt LaFleur is not going to try and win the Monday headlines with this hire. He's going to try and win the February headlines with this hire, if that makes sense.
It does.
A lot of sense.
It
Yeah,
does.
good sense.
We get what you're saying there.
At Matt Schneidman is how you follow him via Twitter, or X as the kids call it these days. And that's where you can find the link to his story at The Athletic where he writes about the 10 candidates. Now, you did put Wink Martindale's picture in there. You did put Jim Leonard's picture in there.
I don't put the pictures on the stories.
I apologize. Your person at The Athletic put the picture of Jim Leonard there. How much excitement was there in your comments and in your mentions once Jim Leonard's name appeared in this piece?
Oh, I don't read the comments on stories like that, but because everyone's always got, oh, how could you put this guy? How could you forget this? Like, I don't read the comments on stories like that, but I don't know. I don't know. You know, you guys probably have a better idea since you get them all on the talking text line, the PellaWI.com talking text line. How much interest is there for Jim Leonard? As that shit passed, do people realize that it's may not be realistic? Like, I don't know if it is.
Everybody wants him.
We haven't gotten many texts yet today, but I expect them to come.
Yeah.
We were inundated with. That was the most popular pick yesterday.
I would say the two top picks easily are Jim Leonard and Mike Vrabel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mike Vrabel's not happening, and who knows if Matt LaFleur would even reach back out to Jim Leonard. That might not happen either.
Well, okay, so you said one with certainty is not happening and one might not happen. Why do you say that?
Mike Vrabel's not happening. He's not going to, even if he doesn't get a head coaching job, he's not going to be the DC of the Packers. And I'm just saying, like, is Matt LaFleur going to
you just told us this defensive coordinator position is a big-time job. If he's not a head coach, is
It's
this
not
not
happening,
the best?
John. It's not happening.
Is this
That's what I'll
conjecture? Or
say.
you okay? So okay, I get what you're saying here.
I am shocked right now.
It's not
the
conjecture.
best. It's one of the best DC positions out there, as
Yep.
said by Matt Schneidman.
Yep.
And if he's not a head coach, why would he not want the best next job?
It's not happening.
I'm using breaking news for that.
Yeah, put it on the scroll.
I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
The way Matt's
Tweet it
saying
out.
it, the way he's saying it with conviction, doesn't sound like just conjecture from Matt.
His
Well,
athletic
that's-
friends from down in Tennessee know something about something.
All right. Oh, that's why we inquire.
That would make it.
That's
that
why
would,
we inquire.
That would make some sense. But there are guys that won't interview for defensive coordinator jobs, right? Like now this one could be more specific towards this one. However, like a Mike Zimmer, he's at the tail end of your list. I love the idea of Mike Zimmer. I also love him growling and smirking and, trying to fight Kirk Cousins after Kirk Cousins celebrates and gives him a little shot at the touching me for, I'm a head coach. I like that. I like that part of Zimmer. I don't know that it works. Yeah, I like the double A gap mug.
Billy
Is he a
smacked
guy
that
that-
desk with some force. That entire camera shook.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean,
That's
that
how
was
you
a
know
big
we're
boy.
really
That
here.
was
Big
Kirk
boy.
Cousins. I mean,
Big
he was
boy.
shaking. I thought Mike Man was going to be injured after that. I don't know that Zimmer wants to be a DC. Do you think that's a spot where he could be? Leslie Frazier's also another interesting one because it seemed like he stepped away from Buffalo because he didn't want to be calling defensive plays, wanted to push his name more for head coach.
Right. Yeah. Look, there are a couple interesting names out there, and Matt LaFleur can go the way of the young up-and-coming position coach like Shane Bowen, who's been calling plays for Mike Vrabel in Tennessee the last 3 years, and he's 37 years old. And
I said Mike Vrabel again.
He said Shane Bowen. He said Shane Bowen.
okay.
Well, I'm writing this down. Go
What
ahead.
did you say, John?
I said you said Mike Vrabel again, but it ain't
Maybe
that.
by the end of
Ain't
our
that.
season on Friday, you'll let me get an answer out without cutting me off.
Probably won't.
Oh,
No, that sounds more like a challenge more than
Well,
a guess.
okay, so are we having
Can I
discussion
finish?
or is it just Matt's forum? Go ahead. Matt's forum is up.
I just wanted to give an answer to the question I was asked.
Well, give it then.
I agree with
Okay,
you, Matt,
everybody-
because
yeah.
Then
everybody
give it then.
they were on me yesterday.
Well,
for
we
not
don't
giving
know
Trey
if
an
Matt
answer.
LaFleur is going to want to take a guy who's already been a defensive coordinator, like Jack Del Rio, Leslie Frazier, Mike Caldwell, who was just fired after 2 years in that position with the Jacksonville Jaguars, or is he going to want to take a young up and coming position coach like I don't know how old Anthony Weaver is, but he's the defensive line coach for the Baltimore Ravens. I've seen his name out there. I saw Dan Orlovsky throw out Jesse Minter, the Michigan defensive coordinator. Is he going to be on the move since Harbaugh's gone, or is he going to go to LA with Harbaugh? Could
He was
he
43.
I don't know how realistic Al Harris is. I think people are just floating that out there because he's a former Packer, but could Matt LaFleur just toss an interview out there? Like, Matt LaFleur has the chance to cast such a wide net on this thing, and he might as well because he has to get this right.
Stupid question here, because they always say when there's a large amount of interviews for a head coach that there's a massive information gathering part of the process.
Sure.
That's the same with a defensive coordinator, right? Like the amount of names that pop on up, and there'll be a couple where we're like, whoa, that scheme doesn't make sense. That doesn't fit here. Some of it can just be of, what do you like of our personnel and how would your scheme make sense? Who does make sense to move forward? Not everything is just of, is this guy going to be our head guy? But some of it is the best information that you're truly going to get about your own team and your own guys.
Sure. Some guys might not be interviewing because they're actual candidates. Some guys might be interviewing because LaFleur is just like, I just want to see what this guy's about. Want to see, how would this guy stop the 40? Maybe he interviews some 49ers coaches, asks them how he would stop the 49ers, and then says, okay, didn't really care. Now I have some intel on the 49ers.
That's chess, not checkers.
Yeah. That probably happens more than people realize, right?
I'd be a fan of that.
It's an information gathering process. Billy's
Sure.
exactly right.
All right, let's play a
Mark
game
that
here.
tape.
Let's play a game.
Mark that tape.
Let's play a game here. Let's all give one.
You want music?
Let's all give two names. Let's give one. Yeah, play some music, Carmen.
All right, let me find something.
Let's give one name that we would love to see, but is not happening, and that name cannot be Mike Vrabel since we know that is not happening. But let's give one name that we don't think is happening that we'd love to see there, and then let's give a dark horse. Let's give a name that nobody else has said.
So 3 names.
No, 2 names. One that we don't think is happening, but we'd love to see. And then one that's a dark horse that nobody else has said.
So 2 names.
Do you want me to show you mine or you want to show me yours?
I'm always ready to show mine.
I don't want to.
I'll show mine if you show yours.
I'll show mine.
All right, here we go.
Different music for that.
I would love, yeah.
You got what I was saying there? Yeah.
I'd love
Authentic
to see Rex Ryan as the new DC in Green Bay. I'd love it. I would love everything about it. The energy, the alphaisms, the let's go get a damn snack. I'd love every bit of that. Plus,
Pedicure shops in Green Bay would love it too.
yeah, they would. They would. So I'd love to see Rex Ryan. Don't think it's going to happen. I think that's too much bravado for one DC room, right? I think it's a little bit too much. You know, he's a big man.
Mm-hmm.
Not as big as
A little
he used to be.
smaller than he used to be, though. Yeah.
But it's still a big man, big bravado. That's the one I'd love to see. The one I think is a dark horse is Jerry Gray, the former, passing game coordinator for the Green Bay Packers.
I like that. Okay. You want mine now?
Go ahead.
Okay. My one dark horse that I don't think is going to happen, but I'd love to see it just because of content, Connor Stallions. Actually, it's Raheem Morris, DC of the LA Rams. If there is a ceiling that he would feel like he has, because Matt, you talked about it, right? There's guys that call plays. He does call plays for the Rams. So it's tough to see the ceiling, but if he feels like he has to break away from the Donald and the McVay tree to finally get another opportunity, because I think he should get another head coaching job, that one would be an interesting one that would be outside the box. I don't know that he would become available, but there's some synergy there. The other one that I think is just makes a ton of sense is Anthony Weaver with the Baltimore Ravens. But he's an associate head coach. Defensive line associate head coach. I don't know where the blocking potential could be there for Baltimore if indeed they wanted to. Those would be my 2.
So you said we're not naming someone who's not going to get the job. You said no Mike Vrabel, no.
No, you can name somebody that's not getting the job, but you'd love to see there.
Okay.
And I thought these roles were very easy. And then a dark horse, one that
he
people
kept
might
interrupting
not
you,
have
John. That
on-
was why it was hard to remember the question.
Darn you.
Yeah.
Darn you, man. All right, now show
All
us
right,
yours.
2
Someone
names.
that's not getting the job, but I'd love to see
Yeah.
is Brandon Staley. I would just love to see Matt LaFleur discuss Joe Barry with Joe Barry. That would just be funny.
Okay. And
Hey, he's a D3 guy. I could endorse it.
Because you're a writer, you're not a fan. So it's the story.
Zabe this morning talking about Jim Harbaugh going to the Chargers, called him a dipstick. And I laughed immediately and I said, well, that is the sign that he's going to be our new DC.
Yeah.
That
It's not
guy
going to be Brandon Staley. It looks like Brandon Staley is going to be the new DC in Miami. Maybe a dark horse, Christian Parker, who is a quality control coach in Green Bay in 2020, I believe. He's the DB coach for the Denver Broncos. I think he interviewed with the Packers in the 2021 cycle, might have been a little too young. I was talking to our Broncos guy yesterday. He's very highly regarded. So Christian Parker, DB coach for the Denver Broncos. Keep an eye on his.
There you go.
All right.
A part of a 70-point display this year, too.
All right, 2 names, right? Guy that I want that never going to happen. Well, Mike Vrabel is the first one.
He said you can't say Mike Vrabel.
He said you can't say Vrabel.
Fine. All right. Well, I thought it was somebody I wanted that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, but he said
Mike
except Mike Vrabel. Listen to the rules on it.
I won't take. Fine. I
I
won't
love
take Vrabel.
Arvin. Arvin's been on fire. He's on fire.
Whatever. I'll take Mike Vrabel.
I'd like
If
to
I
see
can-
Mike Vrabel too, Armin. I'm not lying. I'd like to see Mike Vrabel too. But it ain't
So I
happening.
guess I lose the game. Sue me. What do you want me to do? I'm saying, Mike, okay. All
I
right.
didn't know the rules.
Wink
I'm not going to
Martindale.
answer it right.
Is-
So quit asking.
How do I know who's not taking it? Is Wink Martindale going to take the job? Can that happen?
Martindale might. Martindale might
Wink
not.
Martindale.
Martindale.
Fine.
Mike.
Forget it. Forget it then. Fine. If you don't want me to, all right. You
No,
want
I would do.
you want a real dark horse?
You-
We've been asking.
As
A
long
real-
as it's just one.
Truly, there isn't many left that no one said. We've been saying so many names. How about Dave Aranda? No one said Dave Aranda.
Oh,
How about Dave Aranda?
wow.
Now that was a great D coordinator. He's like Wisconsin guy.
Wisconsin,
Was.
yeah.
I think he's a Baylor head coach, right?
Baylor head coach.
So, Dave Aranda, I don't know how to work in the NFL, but you're asking for a dark horse. We've never said I can't say Al Harris. I can't say any of these guys because everyone's name's been out there. So,
Oh, that's fair.
what else am I
about-
going to say?
Serious question here. That's not related. My guy, Connor Stallions. He's getting a job with the Chargers, right? Like, I mean, that's going to be hook, line,
I
and
mean,
sinker.
that would be hilarious.
They gotta find a spot for him. They
He's
gotta
an
find a
advanced.
spot
He's
for him.
going to be an advanced scout,
I
going
hope
to
so,
games
so
in
bad.
the NFL.
He's not interested in anything but Michigan, though. Didn't you read the manifesto?
This is a Michigan man, though.
I'm saying the manifesto.
He is going to be an advanced scout for the Los Angeles Chargers, traveling to every team. He's just not allowed to videotape.
Just
But the
gonna be on
Patriots did it.
sidelines.
But the Patriots did it. Isn't that something, though, Matt? Real talk here.
It's awesome.
It goes to show you that all you got to do is win. It doesn't matter how many rules you break or how many scandals you have. It just matters if you win football games.
All you got to do is win. Speaking of filming, Steve Belichick, is he going to stay on staff in New England?
I didn't think
Diane
about that.
Rossini
I
and
saw
I
him
put
you
together
want
that.
mean mullet in Green Bay.
I don't know. Diana Rossini and I put together that list, and she threw Steve Belichick on there. So I assume he follows his dad to Atlanta, assuming that's where he goes. But who knows?
But how long is Bill going to be in Atlanta, too? I think about that.
Diana, give you any other good scoops for us to throw on out here? That was a
Who's she
nice name
talking to?
drop there. My feet were on the floor, so I
Well, it wasn't
don't
really a
watch out.
scoop. It was in the story, but
Should have read
I'm
it,
not stealing
Billy.
anybody's scoops.
All right. But you do have that. I don't want to say it's a scoop, but
stealing. Okay, so he knows something. I like that. So, Matt, you said stealing. You're not going to steal and publicize anyone else's scoops. You're just going to keep that mental frame to yourself. I like that.
That's a general statement. If someone tells me something that's their scoop, I'm not going to be the one to put it out there.
Oh, that's cool. I like
Very
that.
commendable. Yes,
We don't
much
do
better
that
than
in
us.
radio. You
No,
give me a tape
uh-uh.
before. You give me something before we go on air. I'm
See ya.
using it.
It's over.
I stole all of Armin. In fact, half of the stuff I talk about is actually Armin's stuff that
Yeah.
he accidentally let slip in his word salad on our show call.
That's right. And then
You
the
think
other
that's
stuff,
funny. It's
the
not-
other
it's-
stuff
it's
you
not
say is
false.
because you know somebody and you're just caping up for them. That's right. That's what we heard earlier on here
speaking,
today.
but print journalists do have there's honor and there's standards and principles amongst print journalists that I don't think we have. Speaking
I
of
didn't
which,
even know we had print anymore, but yes.
well,
I
that's
agree.
that's the irony of it. I mean, we
Is
talk
the
print,
Athletic technically print?
how much is
Yes.
printed, but we still consider you a print journalist by nature, even though it's
I
not
do,
in
yes.
print.
Have you
and-
ever used an old school typewriter, Matt?
Great question.
It'd be sweet if you brought one to a press box.
No, I'm 28 years old. I have not.
You never even took that class in high school. I will say I did take
No.
typewriter class in high school.
We took
Really?
we took some keyboarding. It wasn't typewriters.
having to X that thing out when you make a mistake
With whiteout?
with the typewriter, and then you got.
I never took that.
Damn, and
back
you
up.
didn't even get the tape white out, right? Like you had to actually dip it into the paint, paint it on out
Oh,
with
yeah.
the full brush. Wow.
Yeah, and then I got it
Man.
all over the typewriter, and the typewriter teacher was pissed, and she was like, "You just go back there and start writing it by hand."
I usually only got to do those kind of inquisitive questions for Heller, and he would get really mad. He's like, "All right, now you're making fun of me." No, I'm just wondering. I'm learning. We're learning about what these good old days were like.
Well,
Matt, it's hard for us young guys. We don't know.
And
We
it's
don't
sad
understand.
to see that the LA Times is not traveling a beat writer now for the Dodgers. I saw
know.
that.
That
But
is
that was a
sad.
shame. You saw that, man. I'm sure you had an
I
opinion
did,
on that.
yes. Shame.
Yeah. Indeed, it's just shame. It's just sad. Sad state of affairs.
Armin was expecting a longer one.
No,
there.
that's okay.
It's
Matt, will you rebuke this? Unnamed in the 414. I
Refute, I
disagree
think.
with Matt vehemently. I know Mike Vrabel is a viable candidate. I also believe that a lot of sources and personnel don't care for Vrabel. This means nothing.
Who is this? Unnamed in the 414 saying this?
Yeah, I'm going to let Matt a chance to rebuke this.
Yeah. You're going to let me answer. Why don't you tell unnamed in the 4-4 to let me do my job and tell you what's actually happening surrounding the Green Bay Packers? And Mike Vrabel is not going to take the defensive coordinator job, even if it's a possibility. So,
he's not going to take it. Okay. Now
and he might not get offered it.
There you go.
We like to dig.
That answers some questions.
That's fine. You're being a good reporter. Unnamed in the 4-4 needs to let me do my job.
I'm waiting for a name and location. Let's see if he puts his name on it. One more thing, but before we get out,
Just one thing.
This is I saw this
Brought to
commercial.
you by onething.org. If you need one thing and one thing only, Armin and onething.org. They got you covered.
I keep saying commercial or something that I think for you, Matt and John, could be a big deal. Panera's got $1 bowls of soup now. Did you guys see that commercial?
Yeah, we could have done without that one.
So it's huge for you guys.
That was your one.
That was what you wasted your one thing on?
I thought you guys go to Panera before every podcast.
Holy cow.
I thought
that was a joke. No, I think that's been a running joke here for the last like 9-10 weeks.
I thought they went to Panera before every podcast recording, so I see the Panera commercial. $1 bowl of soup. Are you kidding me?
I do enjoy Panera, but I don't get soup there.
Oh, their soup's delicious. The cream of chicken rice. I know John will get like 6 or 7 bowls at that price.
I just get the bread bowl.
Well, sure,
and I'd be paying way more for the bread. So
I thought I was missing
Pointless.
some breaking news on Twitter or something. It's $1.
No,
soup.
sorry.
We all thought
I'm
so,
telling
yeah.
you that. No, I did see the
That
commercial.
should be breaking news online.
No,
though.
it's
You should
one-
tweet that out. Let everybody know, Matt.
$1
No,
soup.
not
$1
there.
soups
I'll-
at Panera.
I'll pass on that. Thank you. Though.
Appreciate it,
wouldn't.
buddy. We'll talk tomorrow.
Fine.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Let's not waste any more of this young man's time. All right. He's
Fine.
going to break more news.
poor guy.
He's going to tell us about more guys that are not going to be defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers.
He can tell us who's not. He's just not going to tell us.
I
who it is.
I appreciate the info.
That is interesting. Since they've worked together, him and Matt LaFleur Matt LaFleur worked under Vrabes. Maybe there's a little issue there. Maybe there's something more there. I'd love to find out. Maybe we will. We'll find
I thought
out.
It was happening. I thought it was happening. That's the one that I thought was going to be a real legit big name possibility.
Hey, John, not happening.
Not happening.
It's not happening. So quit
asking.
What does Billy know is happening? Coming up next, get your submissions in. Get your guesses 1 through 10. 414-799-1973. It's 9 to noon on the game.
John Kuhn here for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And even drafty windows and doors, you can dramatically lower your energy costs while staying toasty warm in your home. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin offers some of the most energy efficient windows in all of the industry, designed to keep that cold outside, right where it belongs. And if you have January blues, you can choose to kick them by booking by the 31st for 0% interest for 36 months. Yes, you heard that right. No interest for 36 months. That's 3 years if you book by the 31st. Now listen to these windows. Pella's premium wood windows and patio doors feature distinguished craftsmanship and nearly endless possibilities with maximum design flexibility and dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and a whole lot more. Choose between traditional or contemporary look and start enjoying a warmer home with lower energy bills today. But you have to hurry. To get 0% interest for 36 months, you have to book by January 31st. So visit PellaWI.com. Tell Gina Della that John Kuhn sent you. Certain restrictions apply. See Sherman for details. time to give away another $50 gift certificate to Wasita Farms. You know Wasita Farms. You love Wasita Farms, the family-owned organic farm in Door County. Wasita raises the finest certified black Angus beef, heritage Berkshire pork, eggs, and a whole lot more. Best part about Wasita, they're humanely raised and ship it right to your front door. You can check out everything at the farm in Door County, the butcher shop in Green Bay, or online at wasitafarms.com, WASEDA farms.com to buy meat packages, meat subscriptions, heck, even dog treats right there on their site.
That's
To make sure you
awesome.
check them out, wasitafarms.com. All right, Billy, we're doing a little bit of a retread here. People don't like retreads for defensive coordinators, but they like retreads for what does Billy know. And Armin created this thing about 3 weeks ago, decided to go in a different direction. But in lieu of the big snowstorm that we had, where the snow is still here for at least a couple more days as we hit Fog City.
We had fog
Right
here
now,
as well.
it's just
yeah.
unreal.
Well,
dude.
the rise in temperatures, Armin, with all the water moisture on the ground,
Right, it's the
getting
warm
up
air
in the
masses
atmosphere,
and the
yeah.
cool air masses, and it's like a whole scientific
I
thing.
don't like it. I can't see outside. Can we just fix that? Somebody turn off the temperature. Then?
It was wild out there driving last night and this morning. Everybody out there, stay safe. The high beams really don't work in fog, which is always one of those things.
You got to get fog lights.
Yeah, you get fog lights. So
on the bottom.
it's one of those things,
Now we're talking.
Frustrated about. Let me tell you something.
Now, let me
That
tell
was
you
a
one
big
thing.
deal back in the day. Fog lights were great back in the day. You got yourself a car and you had fog lights.
You were cool.
Oh, you
these
were
things
living,
out.
huh?
Yeah.
You were cool.
Yeah.
I
You were
like
cool.
that.
It
Okay.
was also major like
Check out
if
the
you-
fog lights I got on this bad boy.
if you had
But
a
I didn't like
Jeep
you
or a
could never
truck.
turn fog lights on with high beams. Like I want all the lights. Give me all.
Yes.
If I have lights, I want them all on at the same time.
Well,
But it
it's
didn't
'cause-
work that way.
Yeah, it's because you're trying to show out at Dover High or wherever,
Yeah.
Show off and show out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on now. What are you talking about?
Form follows function. This isn't about being flashy.
No, this is about being
about
a big
safe-
man on campus
it's about-
and showing off a little bit.
It's about safety first.
Yeah, I was the least safe
Yeah.
16-year-old you've ever seen. All right. In lieu of all the snow that's on the ground, Armin thought snowstorms and winter weather was still appropriate here at the end of January. And I agree. So we'll start with question number 1, Billy. True or false? Has it ever snowed in Miami?
Has it ever snowed in Miami? I gotta think yes. I'm gonna go true.
Okay, easy. Yeah,
Yeah, I gotta think yes.
True. In 1977, it snowed in Miami. Just a dusting on the palm trees and the cars, not a considerable amount. It has never snowed in Key West.
Yeah, see,
however.
I thought maybe that would be,
Well, the tough part is I also think snow in Miami, and I'm like, that's an every night occurrence. Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
different
that's
way.
Vice
okay,
City.
Gotcha. Yeah,
That's in
yeah,
Grand
no doubt
Theft
about
Auto.
it.
We
Yeah,
saw
no
it all
doubt
the
about
time.
it.
good one.
Played
Good
too
one.
much GTA. I apologize.
Did you see the trailer for the new one?
Have I seen? the trailer
I know
for the
you're
new
right.
one?
You're right.
Goodness
It looks
gracious.
ridiculous.
Absolute rocket fuel. I already have my days off in for 2025 when that comes out.
I haven't bought a new video game in probably 15, 20 years, but maybe that's
Sick
one
brag.
It's not about bragging. I'm just making a point that it's not part of my life really anymore. But maybe that's one game that looks so fun, man. That looks
Well, Armin, wait until you have kids, and then you'll shortly realize
that's my
I'll
plan.
never play a video game again in my life. Not once. I'll
Right.
never play another one.
Well, my other plan.
I've come
is-
to grips with that exactly 8 years ago, which was probably 8 years too late. But I came to grips with that 8 years ago when we had our first kid. The last thing I'm going to do is when I get 3 free hours, go up here and play a video game and have my wife saying, "This is what you're doing.
This
with
is
your
what
free
you're
time
doing?
right now." We just got that kid to sleep, and that kid only sleeps for 3 hours at a time because it's a baby. You can't go up here. No, get out of here.
Yep.
Good point.
That's very true.
1 out of 1. Good start.
That means he wants me to say question number
Yeah,
2.
No,
he wants to speed on.
we
mine.
got-
What
We
state
gotta go
holds the
on. We
record
gotta
for
go-
the most snowfall in a 24-hour period, Billy? What state?
What state? So the easy answer I think would be Alaska because it's the most north. However, I think it's so frozen that I don't necessarily know that they have that much snow. I'm gonna go with. Damn, it feels really easy, but I'm gonna go with like Vermont. Am I in the right vicinity with the Northeast?
No. And you would think, with nor'easters or lake effect snow around Buffalo that they would have hit this, but no, it was in fact Colorado. In fact, Silver Lake, Colorado
Holy
received
cow!
I was gonna say once you
75
get
That's embarrassing.
75.8 inches of snow in a 24-hour period back in 1921.
It's the mountains and stuff, the mountains. I was gonna say,
Oh,
once
that's
you
right. They
hear-
got mountains out there. Yeah, that's a miss.
The
That's
Rocky
a miss.
Mountains.
Yeah, that's a miss. I apologize for everybody that I got that one.
I don't
wrong.
think you need to apologize. It's not that serious. Okay. It's fine.
All right,
You're good.
It was a joke, but yeah, it's
Oh,
okay.
okay,
Yeah,
all right,
don't
yeah.
worry about it.
1 out of 2.
Question number 3. At what mile per hour does the National Weather Service deem the wind in a snowstorm strong enough to officially meet blizzard conditions?
Hold on. Can you give me that again? Here, 1 second.
At what mile per hour does
Okay.
the National Weather Service deem wind in a snowstorm strong enough to officially meet blizzard conditions? Meaning a blizzard is
Sure.
officially a blizzard when it is snowing and wind reaches what mile per hour?
69 miles an hour.
A great guess. But no, it's only 35. And that's why I tell all these
Wow,
people that are
okay.
like, it's a blizzard out there. It's 35. It's like 35 in Wisconsin on a Tuesday.
Right,
What
did
are
you
we
think-
talking about
Did
here?
you think it was going to be like higher than that? I did.
That's why I guessed 69. Yeah, I would have
Yeah.
thought it was loud. I
And that's
definitely thought it
exactly
would
why I
have
said
been
blizzards are slightly overrated. All right, question number 4.
Man.
True or false?
You anti-science now? Or, oh, just kidding.
I
No,
said
that was
they're
the
overrated.
quarterback.
Making a joke. All right.
If I was anti-science, I'd say they're not real, but I didn't.
right.
I said they're overrated.
Like wind chill.
Now that could be argued, Armin. Question number 4.
Does Abe take? Okay.
Billy, has there ever been 2 identical snowflakes?
This is a true or false question.
Wow. I mean, now this is a pretty high question to ask. Like, I mean, if you're thinking about it, dude, you think if any of these things like look the same? I'm gonna go with true. Although
You're
the
right.
tough thing is, how can you actually tell? But by the time you get it in your hand to be able to examine it, isn't it already melted?
See, and this is the one that kind of bucks the trend of science or supports science in whatever way you say, Armin, because I was told my entire life that no 2 snowflakes
are ever
are the same.
We all learned that, right?
And
Like
then
fingerprints.
we come to find out we were in fact lied to. We were lied to our entire childhood. We were told lies. Because
Well,
in 1988, a scientist at the National Center of Atmospheric Research found 2 identical snow crystals.
Okay, yeah, that guy's got way too much time on his hands.
Can you imagine the time he took to figure
Way
All right,
too much time.
all right,
You don't
these-
you don't just look at them falling down and say,
No.
I gotta check these 2.
No,
It
this
doesn't
no
work
this
that way.
no, because it actually went like this, Armin. This happened in 1988 because in 1968 he started. All right, these two. No.
Hold on.
All right, these 2. No, that's
That was his day's
these
work
2.
for 20
No,
years.
It's
No.
like you stare at 2 pictures and find the thing that's different in it, right? Remember that game at the bar that everybody plays?
Of course.
Find the
I love
things that
that
are
game.
different in this. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the best game at the
That
bar.
was that was good.
I love
that-
that game.
Yeah, Big Buck Hunter and that one were the 2 best games.
Yeah,
Yeah, just bring Where's Waldo.
but this guy did it for 20 years apparently until he found 2 that he's like, nope, I can't find a difference. Must be identical.
How
Okay.
was work, honey?
Dial
Another
in.
day checking snowflakes.
But
Still ain't
isn't
found
that
it.
something? Isn't that something?
It
If he doesn't find anything, then it's just 2 identical snowflakes. What if he made a mistake there? What if there was actually something, but he didn't
true.
find it? Because when you're at the bar, you got to be that certain level of drinks in. You got to have 3 to
Yes.
find them. But if you have 5, you can never find them again.
Yeah, then
I
there's
know.
no
So
chance.
it's 3 to 4 drinks, and that's all you can do. This guy had a fun job.
I
I'm
love how
assuming.
fired up it makes you too. It does.
That's awesome.
All right, we got to move on a little bit here, but
Question.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
We're having fun.
I know, but we got to. It's
All
a
right.
whole thing with
I
rules
know,
and
but
clocks.
should we take a break
you
and
know.
finish on the other side? Question number
No,
5.
we're good. We're good.
Cocaine was once an ingredient in this item
Hell of a drug.
that is today one of the most commonly consumed products in the world. In fact, 1.9 billion people in 200 countries each day consumed this product that once contained cocaine.
That once contained cocaine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Coca-Cola.
Figured everyone heard that story by
Pretty
now.
excellent.
I've actually never heard that story.
Armin's asked that question a couple times. Question
Yeah,
number
it's one of my
6.
favorites. 3 out of 5.
This musical artist has the nick. He's used this one too. What musical artist has
God, I
used
should've
his
been listening.
nickname as the Snowman?
What artist has
What musical artist has
artist.
used his nickname as the Snowman? Come on, Billy. Come on. This is your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really mad at myself for not getting this one too. It's the Snowman. Oh, I got no clue right now. Total mental.
Wow.
Mm,
Wow. I'm disappointed. Hit
I'm
the buzzer.
so
Hit
upset
the-
right
hit the
now.
buzzer.
Rick
Hit the
Ross.
buzzer. Young Jeezy, the Snowman,
Yeah, it's a
Billy.
miss. Yeah.
On the golf course, when somebody gets an 8, they say you got a Young Jeezy. You got a Snowman.
Oh, see, I always just say I got a snowman. That's a miss. That's a huge miss by me.
Disappointing. What's he at, Armin?
3 out of 6.
Question number 7.
Armin just
I'm
shaking.
just-
his
In the
head.
Seinfeld
got jobs to
episode,
do.
The Betrayal, Kramer has a long-standing snowball fight with one of his friends from the neighborhood. He was seldom used reoccurring character in what show?
Apparently not Seinfeld.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What?
He was a seldom used character in what show? What was his name? He wants to know his name. What was his name?
It's a Seinfeld episode.
Do I got to get the actor's name or
No, the character's name.
The character's name. I don't know.
all right.
John.
No, it was FDR. Franklin Delano Romanowski.
It was a hilarious episode. Okay, whatever.
Okay,
Forget
there
it.
we go.
You guys don't watch You don't watch Seinfeld, Billy. I get it.
Question number 8.
This is
And-
one episode out of a 700
Yeah.
episode show. I'm sorry
Question
I didn't
number
get
8.
it.
In one of the most iconic playoff games at Lambeau Field history, the Packers beat the Seattle Seahawks in 2007 divisional round in what became known as the Snow Globe game. Who led the Packers in rushing that day?
Ryan Grant.
Done.
Ryan
Question
Grant,
number
correct.
9. The lowest recorded temperature in Wisconsin history was on February 4th, 1996 in Coudray, Wisconsin. Was it warmer or colder than minus 30 degrees?
Well, Coudray, it gets that wind draft in there. Don't even know what that is. I'm going to go under.
It's colder. Minus 55. What's he at?
5 out of 9. Last question.
Question number 10. Can you name 4 of the 7 dwarfs from Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs? This is easy. It should be all 7.
Sleepy.
Correct.
Grumpy.
Correct.
Wow.
Thought you were a big Disney guy.
Dude,
Dude,
there's
I
one.
am not a Disney guy.
there's
My
one I'm gonna-
fiance likes Disney.
Oh, I got
Oh
you.
my gosh.
All right, you got Sleepy and Grumpy.
5,
Sleepy and Grumpy.
4,
Happy.
3,
Happy is correct.
Okay.
Happy's one.
Clock
2, 1.
Snorri.
No.
Snowy. So close. Sneezy.
Good one.
Sneezy or Sleepy. Did you say Sleepy?
No, he said 3 out of 5. I don't
He
know if
missed
he's
them. And the
Oh.
fact that you missed Doc after we just signed Doc is blowing my mind.
Bashful Doc.
How did you miss Doc?
Bashful, Doc, Dopey, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy,
That's a
and
good
Sneezy.
one.
We'll give you 5 out of 10. Of course, that's how it always works.
Well, I
out.
get 5 out of 10 because I got 5 of them right.
I'm saying we're making. Yes, you're right. You did get 5.
5.
Out of
I'm
10.
just handing
We
this
will
to me.
scour this new talking
Participation
text line,
trophy.
find everybody who had 5, and Armin will pick a winner from a hat when we get back. Stick around. I'm in there.
Iron Jock backs the pack with a free backpack offer now through February 4th. When you buy $75 or more of Iron Jock performance gear, take 25% off your entire order and get a free Iron Jock drawstring backpack. $24.99 value when you use promo code 25backpack. That's 25 backpack now through February 4th. Go to ironjock.com for more details. ironjoc.com. Young Jeezy bringing us back. Also, formerly an outro song of a show that I used to do.
Really?
Which is fun because this is not the end of our show. We got one more hour to go. We got a really fun hour to go. But first, we got to give away some free meat.
We do, man. You remember this song, man? This was a banger. I forgot about this song. Used to think about this when I pulled on that Greenfield High School volleyball jersey. You know, put on for my city.
Putting on for your city.
All right, we had not as many fives as I thought, but we did have some, and it's Nick and Auburndale. I just pulled it out. Nick and Auburndale.
All right,
Nick.
Congratulations, Nick and Auburndale.
Congrats, Nick and Auburndale.
Send in some info. We need your email address and your full name.
Funny thing about Wasita Farms, as I was on the website a couple of days ago, while during the show, we were having the conversation about bone-in fillets.
Mm-hmm.
I go on Google and I'm, typing in bone-in fillets. I'm like, there's no way on earth. Wasita Farms, the amount of steak that you can buy on that website and have shipped to your front door.
Oh, they got it, baby.
For it being 2 hours away from me was unbelievable. I'm a New York strip kind of guy, so I was dialed in on those. But just thinking like, man, that bone-in filet made no sense to me. You guys still have shattered my mind after saying that that's a thing at Carnivore.
Okay, did you purchase any?
I did. New York strips.
Okay.
I got some on the way.
Okay, but you didn't buy the bone-in fillets.
No, I did not buy the bone-in fillets. I got too sketched out.
He wants to.
You'll do it at Carnivore.
Wants to try.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Going all out.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I want to wait and have it be expertly done. Not my beginner status of making a steak on a black stone.
Because it is different when you have to cook it probably with the bone. I don't know how to cook bone-in fillets, but I'm assuming it's a lot different.
And you cook it just like a regular fillet. You just
okay, cool.
Cook it.
Nice. No, okay. I never cooked a bone-in fillet. I have eaten it there at Carnivore.
I mean, the time's a little different.
Time's a little different. Yeah. See, it's all good. You just cook it. You just get it dialed on in there, get it seasoned on up, and you can have your chance to go to Carnivore if you can beat everybody else in the conference championship round. We'll discuss it during You Better You Bet. Give an update on who has their picks in and what young individuals out there still have not given Armin Sarin your picks. We read you out and we call you out next on the game.
24 hours.
I'm balling hard, I need a jersey on. So much bread on me, I can buy a jersey home. I'm on them Diddy spending dirty money. Hey, Jim. You know them old sugar daddy. They be tricking. They tell them girls. I said you can have whatever you like. I said you can have whatever you like. Yeah. Sex on dick, control no ice.
Hour 3 and 9 to noon rolls on with you at 414-799-1973. We're going to discuss the You Better You Bet playoffs coming up here in just one moment. But first, a lot of things changing with the Milwaukee Bucks, right? Doc Rivers in. We got the official, well, not quite official numbers yet, but Shams Charania of the Athletic and Stadium reporting that it is in the $40 million range. And Doc's new contract to be the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks will run through the 26-27 season. So for us non-math majors, 23-24 season, 24-25, 25-26, 26-27.
Not 3.
4-year deal, $40 million, 10 years, $10 million a year. Not bad change for a guy that called, I think, 7 NBA games on ESPN this year after they blew up a 17-year finals crew with Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson. But that's not the only thing that people are discussing. People are saying that the Milwaukee Bucks could be shopping different players. Pat Connaughton's name came up yesterday. Bobby Portis's name has circled. And NBA Central is one of these regurgitation accounts online, right? Like they find a bunch of information.
An aggregator, basically.
An aggregator, right?
Yeah.
Pump it on out themselves. They
Like
put
Doug
out some
Kleinman.
lines. Thanks to Bovada. And I like Bovada. As certain individuals know, for a long time, they were the only investing site for a while. But they put out this line that I don't know makes any sense in the world. Odds for the next team to acquire Thanasis Antetokounmpo. First off, they really
Wow.
think we're trading Thanasis?
Can you bet to that to not happen?
Yeah, it ain't happening.
Yeah, we're 420. What are you, high?
Yeah, that is wild.
Are you huffing
I mean,
grass?
I would think it goes guys staying in Milwaukee. Giannis, Dame, Chris Middleton, and then you got to start throwing Thanasis in there with the
Thanasis'
next
name
couple
gets in there.
players.
Yeah.
What happens if he never gets traded? I'm just naive to this. Like, let's say they have an offering like that. Odds for the next team, it's an incomplete
It'll be
ticket.
no bet if he doesn't get traded.
By
Yeah.
the end of the year, that's when it ends.
Probably by the deadline. I don't know. I'm reading it off here, so I don't have their official. I don't have their official rules, but I would assume if he's not traded by the deadline, then it becomes a no bet.
That's not one of those tickets that's good for
Well,
life.
no, yeah, okay. It's so a no bet. Yeah, that's. Can you pick other? Can you pick none? Can you pick he's not getting traded?
The proposition here is the New York Knicks plus 150, the Washington Wizards plus 550, the Brooklyn Nets plus 250, the Jazz, Trailblazers, and Clippers all at plus 550. So there's no option. And again, it says Thanasis Antetokounmpo team after the 2024 trade deadline, if not the Milwaukee Bucks. He is one of 2 players that has specials, him and Kyle Lowry right now. Again, out of all the players that could potentially get moved, Thanasis, and hey, there's a better chance that he gets traded to the coaching staff than he gets traded to another organization at the deadline, right? Like,
Listen,
we got an extra spot.
But we're making a joke of this, but I'm being dead serious. I don't want Thanasis traded.
No chance.
I don't want him traded.
No. I've always believed in that too. I agree. Yeah.
I'm being dead serious here. Like I mean it. I think Thanasis is an important piece on there. I think he's, a leveling of Giannis when he needs leveling.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I think he brings energy at a spot where you're not really going to bring anything but energy, right?
Yes.
The impact that the teams, I mean, anything he does at the end of these ball games means absolutely nothing other than for comedic purposes, because he wiles out. I mean, he goes absolutely ham when he gets on the court. He reminds me of a guy like, hey, you're going to put me on the court for this NBA game? I'm doing what I do. He's the guy at the Y where like pass, and he never passes the ball. I mean, he's what, and I love it. And take advantage of your opportunity in this meaningless.
I totally agree.
Trash time of the game, because I know, and you can support guys like that for going out there and wiling out when it's in garbage time, when they cheer and they're excited and they have genuine love for their teammates and the team. And when they go and do that, when they never get to play, you know what? now you take a trip around the court and have some fun while you're out there.
And
I love it.
And there's really I know people have complained from time to time about how, he shouldn't be in the league, takes a spot away, or we could get somebody. You said it, John. The 15th guy in the league isn't making that much difference on the court, no matter what. And there's always been guys at the end of the benches that have had even less impact than him. And yes, there is impact off the court for Giannis than him.
GM Thanasis.
Scalabrini, GM Thanasis. I mean, pretty much.
It's not about the lobsters, Giannis.
It's not about the lobsters. You cannot put a price on the importance that his presence had for, like you said, the evening out of Giannis, or just the therapy, just the feeling of happiness that he can give to being with Giannis. I mean, that's the guy Giannis trusts the most, is his older brother. And the bottom line is, if you are a Bucks GM and you want to keep Giannis, anybody, you'd be derelict in your duty not to make sure that guy's on your court, on your bench, on your contract, on your roster every year. The money they pay him, which I think is $1.7 million a year,
not enough.
It is absolutely worth every penny to the guidance, to the therapy, to all that stuff he gives to Giannis. When probably there's certain times when maybe nobody else can get to him. There's one guy that can get to him, or that says, if you need to tell him something, whatever it is, it's Athanasios, which is the long version of that name in Greek, by the way.
Well, did you see
pull right there?
Thank you.
Wow.
No problem.
Did you see the value of influencing in the Milwaukee Bucks? Thanasis is the second earner. He's the second highest earner for social media and influencing production.
That's right. I did send you that. Yeah. Well, that is a real factor. I mean, it's a big influence on the Greek market. Yeah, no doubt. Great podcast. You ever go to Greek night at the Bucks games?
Yeah.
He's electric.
They have that?
Yeah, they have.
Oh, yeah.
When is this?
It's once a year. I don't know exactly.
I need to go.
Yeah,
the funnier thing
are
is,
Euros just going ham there? Do they just have Euros everywhere?
No, you get like a special bobblehead and then
a lot of times, like a lot of times in different spots, like they'll do Greek night for different locations, and he'll come out and talk to him after the game. Like, dude, they'll have a ticket where you can sit after the game, and there will be 2 sections full, and all he does is come on out, wave, say thank you, go on the mic for 30 seconds, and walk out.
And the Greek community usually comes out. They usually sing the Greek national anthem. They'll say something in Greek. And they're really, and
everybody that attends gets a free bottle of olive oil. That I'm down for this. I'm having fun, but I like this. I want to experience this.
It is really cool. And they usually you buy a special ticket that gets you a special bobblehead. And that one is obviously a collector's edition. And for a lot of the Greek fans that live in Greece, they try and get those. So you can usually sell that on eBay if you're so inclined. I'm not a big bobblehead guy.
Oh, God.
No, I haven't done it. I still have them on my mantle, but there is value in those if you're interested.
How many in 6 NBA seasons? How much would you say his career earnings would be? That of Thanasis?
Well, he did.
I would say
he did have a cup of coffee with the Sixers or somebody, right?
Knicks
2 games.
It was the Knicks. I would say $6 million would be my guess.
Armin?
I think it's more like 10 or 12. He makes 1.7.
$9.1 million. Current salary is a 1-year deal worth $2.3 million for Thanasis Antetokounmpo.
Also, he's funny. He's fun. He's electric. He was going
he is.
At the parade.
I want a guy like that because, as you said, Armin, if Udonis Haslem can play, I think it was 24 minutes combined in a season last year. It shows what you need at the 15 spot. You need a locker room guy. You need everybody's boy or someone to show them the ropes. You need either a vet or somebody that, I bet Thanasis does all kinds of stuff for these guys. I bet you Thanasis is like, hey, what do you need? I'm stopping. Hey, you want that 50 piece again from Chick-fil-A?
I got you.
You're going to go off tonight? You don't have to roll through the drive-through and get this going viral. I'll go through the drive-through. I'll get it viral. Because, by the way, I'm second best social media presence on the team.
That's right. I did see that. I'm glad we got that information.
And his 31 seconds or whatever it was in game, I think it was either 3 or 4 against the Nets, right up against halftime.
Good point.
He gets them so flustered, gets a steal, gets that building going.
He made a difference
that
game.
Man.
Good point, Billy.
It's like when Rob Frozina would come off the Marquette bench and he'd rip off that jersey, rip off the pants. You're like, holy cow, Rob's going in the game. He's
literally our Rudy. He's our Rudy Rudabaker.
Game is amazing.
But there are times those guys can have a real impact on games. And he is our Rudy. the walk-ons. You talk about the college. I remember Al McGuire saying that was his victory cigar, his human victory cigar. When the game was over, when he'd send in his walk-ons, that was his way to celebrate. Yeah, I kind of like that. But you're right about that game. Do not forget that minute or two he had that changed the momentum in a big series.
Well, also don't forget when the championship was won.
Yes,
Giannis's first call.
of course, his brother.
Oh yeah,
First phone
instantly
call. Get down here. Come
ran into the
Come in
locker
here.
room as
Yeah.
the celebration is going on.
That's the reason why Giannis is not in the team picture on the court. He's pretty much gone out of there because he went to call his brother right away. It's the one thing from that whole championship run I regret is that
I
he
like
couldn't
this
be on the
text from
court.
Red Hot Tim Knott. There's a better chance the Bucks trade me before they trade Thanasis, and I don't even play for the team. Tim, they don't even know who you are, and they'll ship you right on out of here, right out of town if they can.
I seriously think Thanasis falls right in there with Brooke Lopez as this is the level we're not going to trade you.
Yeah, we're not getting
We're
rid of
not going
this
to
guy.
trade you at the same rate. We're not going to trade Brooke Lopez.
Yeah.
That's just amazing.
Greek night is fun though, John. If you ever go and you
I'm
have to,
fired up.
you have
Find
to-
out the date.
You have
I
to
can't
stay
believe
after.
we've been in this whole segment and you haven't found the date yet
No.
for me so I can put it in cozy.
I'm going to grab it while Armin hits the You Better You Bet soundtrack.
Yeah,
and then
let's
you
do
guys
it.
get a song, and I'll have that by the time we fire this thing up. Or not.
You better.
You better you.
You Better You Bet, presented by Carnivore, Milwaukee's premier steakhouse. For more than 15 years, Carnivore has been offering the premierest of the premier cuts of steak in the city of Milwaukee. The kind of wine and spirits menu that you can only experience to truly believe. It's where a classic steakhouse meets a modern experience at Carnivore, Milwaukee's premier steakhouse for over 15 years. So we're into the conference championship round, as now we have 9 contestants still because we allowed Deviation Donna and Jeff in Sun Prairie both to remain in during a tie of the divisional round. Armin, what's the pick situation like? Do we have everybody's? Who do you still have? Can we call anybody out by name and embarrass them for not having their picks in yet?
Good question. We have picks in from 4 of our 9 nooners, so you have a full day to get your final picks in. I know some guys like to wait till the end so they can get the final edge on the lines. I'm not going to obviously mention any of the picks because that could influence some others, but I do have picks in from Tim in Fredonia, Dan in Janesville, Jeff in Sun Prairie, Brewer Bruce. I'm sorry, I have 5. That's 5. And Ken in the Falls. And I got to do this because it did happen. I want to thank Ken in the Falls for sure for bringing in lunch yesterday.
Heck yeah, Ken.
All right, Ken, thanks a lot. I know Ken in the Falls is a polarizing figure amongst some nooners, but he did come in. He came through with those delicious Italian beef and Italian sausage sandwiches.
Damn.
From Studs in West Allis, one of my favorite dive bars. If you guys remember, that is only one of 2 dive bars that I've ever given a 2.0 atmosphere score to.
Wow.
Thanks to the owner and proprietor, Dino from Studs, who would have loved Greek night himself. Dean is a Greek guy. And he did deliver the goods yesterday for lunch. Much appreciated. Very delicious. Billy, there's a couple left in the fridge if you want to heat one up today.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Italian sausage sandwich, delicious.
Oh, geez,
Italian
let's
belief.
go.
Italian beef, not belief. Gardeniera.
And beliefs.
Or is it Jardiniera, John? That's the right way to pronounce it. I know you East Coasters. I don't know. But absolutely delicious.
Jardiniere.
Thanks, Jardiniere. Okay.
Yeah, I think the A is either like you don't have to throw it in there at the end.
Oh, I see.
I'm not positive.
Well, thanks again to Dean over at Studs, and thanks to Ken for bringing it in. But he is the 5th. So we have the word out for picks from Steve and Delafield, Andy and Brookfield, Derek and Whitewater, and Deviation Don. Our final 4 to get picks in tomorrow to try and get into the final 4. 4 will advance out of the 9 to the Super Bowl round.
So, John, terrible news here. Doesn't look like there's a Greek night in 23-24.
Oh, man. They cancel it?
Sounds like there was a lie to you. I'm scouting it through here. There's videos of Greek night from last season, and Thanasis and the Milwaukee Bucks did a really cool video of those guys walking on out to the celebration right on after. But yeah, no Greek night. Come on now, let's figure that out. Let's get that on the calendar.
I needed a good gyro. I needed to get one.
Well, listen, we go to a Bucks
sandwich.
game. We'll go over to Oakland Euros and enjoy ourselves after that one. And we're
some
gonna
good ones.
Very good, John. Very good.
Yeah, we'll probably have to grab one before the game.
No,
better to be able to soak up everything after.
Well, can we do one before and one after?
Yeah,
Why
there's no
not?
cops here. We might as well.
Okay.
You're not
We might
driving.
as well. Yeah,
I'm not
I'm not a
driving.
cop. Let's do it twice. Let's invest twice because that's twice as nice.
The man can't miss.
Time now for Coons Can't Miss, presented by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bet big, bet bull.
Yeah, I feel you. Head down to Oakland Gyro and then make our way to Potawatomi after. So it goes Gyro, basketball game.
Dialed it.
Gyro, Potto.
Yep.
Think about that. Think about rolling into Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook after having your belly filled with a gyro, and you walk right through the metal detectors, past all 70-plus kiosks on the second and third level, make your way down the escalator, which is in working form once again, and then your way to the northwest end of the sports floor. That's the Old Fire Pit Sports Bar and Grill.
And there's a
30
perfect
screens.
bathroom right over there if necessary.
30 big
Very good
screens
bathroom.
of full food and beverage service at the bar. You don't need the food because we just had the gyro, or maybe you do. Maybe there's something on the menu
Little
down there
snack.
that you might want.
Might as
Maybe it's
well.
something with some kimchi or
Street
some
eats?
jalapenos. I don't know. Maybe there's something there.
Something that's
We'll find
street
out more
eats, yeah.
about that in due time. But you got the drinks down there, you got the TVs down there, and you got the seating. 30 different plush leather recliners, which are really nice because Armin sits in this corner and Laura sits in that corner.
And they rock
you can
back and
sit
forth.
anywhere in between and have a good old time and make some wagers and have a fun time down there with a lot of people having fun times down there. All right, let's go back before we go forward. The Bucks minus 6.5 last night versus the Cavs. That was my pick for yesterday, and that was my guarantee. And I knew it because we had a nooner call into the Talking Text line, text into the Talking Text line, and tell us, in fact, Doc was in Milwaukee, and that Doc was heading over to Pfizer, and that Doc has this charisma that you cannot deny. It's intoxicating. It's going to be so great putting this locker room back together, galvanizing force of these players. Looked like they had a little spunk, a little pep in their step last
fired
night,
up.
boys. Bucks easily covered this one as it got a little close in the fourth quarter. Started wondering why the Cavs were getting so many easy buckets. Beep, timeout. Come over to the sideline. That first play, right about 6 minutes left in the game. You know what I'm talking about, Armin. That first play out of that timeout, Giannis dunk. Thank you very much.
He
We
went
just
to
need
work.
to sell fact. Went back to an 8-point lead, and then I think they won by 10. It was a 10-point
So,
game. Right?
yep, they covered that with a 10-point win, 126-116. This was a Cleveland team that was hot coming in, 6 out of 7, I believe.
Hottest team in the NBA.
And let me tell you something. This is kind of the Bucks team we, I think, envisioned as the season started. You had Giannis with 35, 18, and 10, filling it up. You had Damian filling it up with 28, and you had Chris Middleton there chipping in his 24. I think that is the big three we envisioned all year. I don't know if it's because there's a new sheriff in town. They knew it. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they're just a good team, and we forget about that sometimes as they move to 31-13. And speaking of records, John, with that win, you moved to 109, 83, and 5. So you still have one open ticket on that Yannick Sinner Djokovic game match. Excuse me, this is tennis.
What's that current line at? For the over under
that's
total,
a good question.
total games.
Let's
over
check it
under
out.
Total games.
Your
Let's see if I
tickets
got a
in-
deal.
Yeah.
I don't want to know. I want to know the current. Line. I want to see if we have a deal.
Yep. It hasn't changed. 40.5 is the total.
Still 40 and a half.
Yep. 40.5.
Okay.
That should be a fun one. They
Quality
play
buy there.
tonight. Also Medvedev and Zverev tonight in the other semi.
Can't miss that one.
I've got Medvedev in that. But if you don't, I don't know. I don't trust Zverev. That's just the way it is.
Not many do.
On the women's
No.
side, unfortunately, Coco Gauff lost to Sabalenka.
Son of a.
So that's what happens. That's the way it goes sometimes. But John,
But
we'll see.
Sabalenka, I mean,
She's a
she
monster.
has a backhand that's amazing.
Very, very good. Very good player. Number 2 in the world in the women's.
I like those red
rankings.
shoes.
Yeah, she's got her shoe game is pretty good. Ariana
It's an
Sabalenka.
impressive fit right there.
You don't always hear about a great Belarusian tennis player, but she does represent Belarus, a former Soviet.
Don't hear it a lot, but you do
Republic.
now.
Yeah. All right,
No
John.
doubt
What do
about
you
it.
what do you got? today?
Ukraine, Belarus, China, some Americans. You got some Swedish in there. Those are generally the flags that you see a lot.
Yeah,
in these-
a lot
in
of
these tennis
lot
races.
of former Slavic states, Croatian, Serbian, obviously. So
Sure.
Armenia, I would like to see us get involved.
Yeah. Why
in
don't you
there.
guys get in there?
Well, we got
What's
to.
that?
Well, we got to get better,
Weren't-
and that's a
well,
process.
Weren't you the Armenian national champ one year?
No,
That's what I had
no,
heard.
no. I was the
Runner up.
I took. I won a couple silver medals. I never won it.
Okay,
It was
so
the-
you were runner
it was
up.
the
Oh, so
Armenian-
you were in there.
I'm,
Okay.
I'm sorry, you got on the podium at the Armenian American National Championships for tennis.
It was the Armenian Youth Federation
Summer
Olympics, a U.S. Eastern Region Olympics.
Which
It
was
wasn't-
basically which was that worlds for Armenian tennis players, or was it just the national Armenian tennis players? Was it Armenian American or world
Armenian American kids from the Eastern region.
Look at
So
that.
Western region, California has their own.
Leon?
Yeah, we don't
I
like
bet
those guys.
Leon was so proud.
He was
You getting
proud.
up on that podium.
He was proud. My mom was proud. Thankfully, that they weren't really like the helicopter sports parents, because if they were, they probably would have been disappointed that I lost 3 times in the finals and never
Could never get over the hump.
Yeah,
Oh, you were 3 times bridesmaid.
3
never the
times
bride.
silver medalist. Yeah,
They could have gotten you maybe
is
one
what
There's
more.
a lot of pride in that, Buffalo. I'm gonna start calling you Buffalo. You know, Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls,
Yeah.
lost all of them. Hey, you got to play in that final
Wow.
match before you can win the final match. Unfortunately, never quite got to win.
and
So you're
listen,
the only Olympian that works here.
if you want to look at it that way, I totally
Wow.
agree.
Okay, we should
I
start
wonder
throwing
if
that in there.
has Josh ever bowled in nationals?
Josh is like the Wisconsin state champion, but not national.
But not
right?
national.
And he,
Not like you.
I don't know what he did. He did bowl at college, but I don't know exactly what.
You got second in the Natty, Harmon. That's impressive.
That's amazing.
You need to start repping that a little bit more.
Well,
Only Olympics I've ever done is a beer Olympics, so you should be quite proud of that.
I was mad that I never won it. That's one thing I left on the table. I was the Marino Jim Kelly of that whole deal.
But remember, it's always about you remember the losses more than you remember the wins.
Sure,
It's
sure.
about the road to get there. It's about the
Yeah.
climb. You
Couple
never
of-
let yourself get there and get too inflated. I like that.
Couple low over-unders tonight in college basketball from the west side of the country.
Mhm.
St. Mary's is hosting Pacific. That's at 135.5. And then Hawaii is hosting UC Santa Barbara, Zabe's school. That's a late tip-off. Holy Hannah.
That's the latest.
That's
It's 11
p.m.
Central. Yeah, it's in Honolulu. That's why that game's in Honolulu.
So that would be actually a 5 p.m. tip for them. So
Locally,
man, that's still, so 9 o'clock for Santa Barbara, 5 o'clock for Hawaii. Hawaii's probably going to get the better of them, but 136.5, that's a low over under. I'm going to take that one over, Armin. I'm going to go over 136.5. UC Santa Barbara out there in Hawaii. Who doesn't shoot lights out when they go to Honolulu? Who doesn't have a great time over there? The Pro Bowls were always high scoring when they had them over in
That's
Honolulu.
true.
Even if they didn't tackle in the Pro Bowl, there was always a lot of points over there. I'm going with a lot of points here tonight, over 136.5. UC Santa Barbara and Hawaii.
the other thing I like about the over there, John, is I think there's it's projected to be a fairly close game. The spread on that is 5. So the closer the game, I think, is always better for overs because you have a couple things going for you. You have the chance at overtime, and then you have a chance of extension at the end because of fouls. I don't know. That's the way I kind of look at betting overs in basketball. I don't know how you kind of look at that, Billy, but I always think that if you have an over and there's a blowout, it's more dangerous to cover that. So
That was like last night. 149.5 was the number to have in DePaul Marquette. And luckily, DePaul kept scoring to be able to push that number over. Otherwise, I don't know that Marquette was
Yeah.
going to be able to get it. All right. We got to take a quick time out. We have a little bit of a surprise hire in the NFL at a head coaching spot. And it might just be because of the owner that they might not have gotten their top choice. Or maybe that's all conjecture. Maybe this is the best one yet. We'll discuss it next 9 to noon on the game.
Cause you're boring. I'm record sales soaring, straight touring.
Welcome back. It's 9 to noon on the game. Last half hour here, and we jumped the gun on Mike Heller. A little bit of the breaking news show here so far. Not yet a new defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, but the Carolina Panthers have named and will name Dave Canellis their new head coach. First-time coordinator this year. Calls plays for one season. Worked with Baker Mayfield. That stood on out to the Carolina Panthers brass, and he is going to become the new head coach for the Carolina Panthers after spending the last 13 seasons before this one in Seattle. He was an offensive quality control coach there during their Super Bowl runs, was elevated to assistant quarterbacks coach, was later a wide receivers coach, quarterbacks coach again, past game coordinator there. He was the quarterback coach of Geno Smith in 2022. That gave him the play calling chance in Tampa Bay in 2023. Baker Mayfield and company go to the divisional round of the playoffs. Dave Tepper in Carolina is like, hold on. Wait a second. We had that guy last year. And he sucked. We benched him. We cut him and let him go elsewhere because we didn't want him in the building. And then this guy's got him in the divisional round, putting up a perfect passer rating against the Packers at Lambeau Field. And Tepper's like, come on over here, kid. Get on over here. Be our head coach. Fix Bryce Young. Figure out exactly, put your magic pixie dust there. It sounded like that one was signed, sealed, delivered, John, to Ben Johnson last year. He said, yeah, no, I think I'm going to stay with Goff and company. We got something special in Detroit. Again, everyone assumes that Ben Johnson is going to be the prime candidate there. And he says, thanks, but no thanks. I don't know if that says more about Tepper, Bryce Young, all in general.
I think it says a lot about Tepper, right? I really do.
Yeah.
And this is why you get, and let me speak glass half full, glass half empty. Okay, let me first start with the half empty side. This is why you get a guy who's only called plays for 1 year, a guy who's kind of under the radar, a team that wasn't lighting things up this year, but did win the South and then won a playoff game against an Eagles team. Not really a big name, not really a high profile guy here, this Dave Canellis, right? Canellis.
I don't know.
One of those two. It's something
Dave
like
Canellis.
that. Good looking guy. That's for
sure.
sure. Really
Man,
good looking dude.
He's good, man. When they do handsome coordinators, he's going to be right up there. He's Jimmy Garoppolo-esque.
Yes.
Armin, tell Laura to get off the stream right now and search this guy because she will be
Should be a big fan.
smitten.
Yeah.
She will be fired up for this
Search
guy.
it up. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's what Dave Tepper has to do. He's got to bring in people because, hey, let's be honest, it hasn't been good there. It hasn't been good in Carolina. A lot of that has to, and many people believe it's the ownership and, firing a coach mid-season and then having, coaches going behind other coaches' backs and doing crazy things and all kinds of crazy stuff going on in Carolina. So they go, all right, let's find this. This is a young guy. Not a lot of people are after him. We could possibly get him. We can make him head coach and we can go in this direction. By the way, he is a fixer of things. Baker Mayfield was broken. He was broken in Cleveland. He was broke when he got here. He went to LA and they threw some duct tape on him, but he wasn't good enough to actually drive around the lots. And they got Matthew Stafford back, and then he fixed him. He fixed Baker Mayfield. Maybe he can fix Bryce Young. If Bryce Young is broken and he's a guy that we believe in because we traded up in the first round to get him instead of CJ Stroud, fix him, please. Let's hope. When you are struggling and you have an owner that is not very well liked around the NFL, you need a lottery ticket, Armin. You need a scratch-off lottery ticket.
Sure,
That's
absolutely.
what they have right here.
They've got a lot
High
of
side, we have no idea what that ceiling could be. It could be high. He could be the fixer of things. Low side, this could be another firing in about 9 months.
It's a team that, John, and to start all the dysfunction with Tepper, they hired Matt Rule out of Baylor with a 7-year, $62 million just massive coaching contract and fired him within 2 years. And then Frank Reich was making a pretty penny. They pumped up last year. Remember, Reich didn't work with pretty much anybody that was brought into his staff. It was like Josh McCown, we're getting them. We're getting all these guys that nobody else thinks would join in because we're going to pay them more, and it didn't work. And you're right. This is kind of what you have to do if you have a bad reputation around the league. And right now, David Tepper has a bad reputation as an owner around the league. Maybe a little swing of a lottery ticket like the Packers made on Matt LaFleur. Because remember, coming out of Tennessee, it wasn't like his offense was dripping with spectacular stats as he walked out. I think they were like the 25th ranked offense in football the one year that he called plays in Tennessee, but wowed in the interview process and got the job. So there it is. He's going to be the new head coach down there in Carolina. We have some other news across the NFL, which is the AP has made public the finalists for all the awards throughout the season. I wonder if you guys are going to be shocked to find out Green Bay Packers have no finalists on the list.
Anywhere.
That involves MVP, the offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, comeback player of the year, coach of the year, assistant coach of the year.
Okay.
No finalists.
We don't have a final. Jaden Reed's not a finalist for offensive player or offensive rookie of the year.
That seems surprising.
Offensive Rookie of the Year finalists: Jahmyr Gibbs, Puka Nacua, Sam Laporta, Bijan Robinson, CJ Stroud.
Do you think?
Man, it's kind of hard to break into that list, though.
Tough one.
That's a hard one to penetrate right there. I can understand it. I listen. I thought there was one chance for the Green Bay Packers to get somebody on the list. I thought it was Offensive Rookie of the Year, but you can't argue with those five. No,
you can't. There's nobody you take off the list, and I think part of it too, having nobody on any of these lists, is that the Packers' success generally came late in the year. Maybe some of these votes came in earlier. I'm not really sure. Maybe minds were made up. But the fact of the matter is the Packers, that's a compliment as much as anything, because the Packers had team success, which is the most important thing. And the fact they were able to do it without seemingly finalists for any of those awards is pretty impressive.
Man,
I think we'd all be happy to say that.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I love the fact that the Green Bay Packers had the number 1 seed on the ropes in the divisional round with no Pro Bowlers.
It's amazing.
With the youngest team in the NFL, with nobody on any list for NFL honors. I love that, because when they do get people and players or coaches that are hitting these types of ranks, they're going to go to a whole new level. And you can have solace in the fact that even if they don't, they can still be an incredible football team with how they have built this thing. That is that's the saving grace of this whole thing.
It's the best part, really. I mean, that's the best part of it.
Tough thing is the assistant coach. You got to be a coordinator, I think, to crack in on that one. Like if there was a award for a position coach of the year, I would be hard pressed to think Jason Vrabel doesn't at least get mentioned for what he did with the wide receivers. But
no doubt.
AP Coach of the Year presented by Verizon: Dan Campbell, John Harbaugh, D'Amico Ryans, Kyle Shanahan, Kevin Stefanski, the 5 finalists there for Coach of the Year. Not a ton of arguments in there. MVP.
Well,
go ahead.
Is it more impressive what Stefanski did with his 4 different quarterbacks and Joe Flacco at the end of the year with that incredible defense that was playing at a historic pace? Or was it more impressive what Matt LaFleur did, getting off the mat after 2 and 5 and then turning that offense into a feared, kind of side of the football?
Yeah, I think I'd have Stefanski there. John, to be honest with you, if I'm going to take one out, it's going to be Shanahan. Like, at what point during the season did you think, wow, he's really just pulling this roster along?
It's a good
I think
point.
they've been like the best roster in football for the last 5 years.
Yeah,
however, he's the coach of the best team in the NFC, so you're going to get love there, and his offensive scheme is fantastic.
And let's face it, people are obsessed with giving individual awards that way, and that's just the way our culture is. They want to give MVP to the best player and the best team. It's all about team.
Well, isn't that the right thing to do?
Yeah, yes and no. I think it comes from a place of
what's a coach's
nobility.
job?
It's noble to come from that place because everyone cares about team first. But the reality is that's not what individual awards were designed for, John, in my opinion.
No,
right?
I agree with you. One could say that Matt LaFleur's 9-8 record is more impressive than the 12-5 that I think that San Francisco finished at.
Sure.
You could make that argument, but the job still is to win football.
It is.
And he won the most in the NFC.
It is. That's why Brock Purdy was, until that last game coming up, second to last, was going to get MVP votes.
Well, he's a finalist for the AP Most Valuable Player Award presented by Invisalign. It's Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I mean,
along with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
Another favorite for a while was Dak. I mean, this was probably one of the closest MVP races we've had in some time.
All right, I need comeback player of the year. I need to know, is this a race? Is it even a race?
The Comeback Player of the Year award presented by P&G and the official locker room products of the NFL. Gillette, Head & Shoulders, Old Spice, and Tide.
Thank you.
Tua Tagovailoa, a finalist for Comeback Player of the Year.
Hey, I get it, man. He was
massive concussion
silly
issue.
multiple times. Yeah,
found out how to fall.
He was Damar Hamlin before Damar Hamlin. really, in Cincinnati. It's the truth.
It is. And DeMar Hamlin is on the list,
Yeah,
shockingly.
Okay.
Matthew Stafford on the list.
I think that's a good call.
That's a good one. He was
any other year. I
banged
think
up.
he might. Any other year, I think he's right there to win it.
Banged up and banged up. Baker Mayfield. I don't know what he came back from. Stinking. He's on the list. And
You got to come back from something.
That's what it is.
and Joe Flacco is also on the list.
No, that's
And
a good
Joe
one.
Flacco literally came back from the couch.
The couch.
He was the Monday morning quarterback from the couch. And man, I like all of them.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one to run on in.
We had a lot of good comebacks this year.
They're gonna give it to DeMar, right?
Well, after he got that fake punt,
He would have
to
gotten the
about
fake
three-
punt. I would have given him
after
my
he
vote.
got it to about 3 yards short of the fourth down on I thought, well,
Did he just cost
just
himself
one-
the award?
one more yard, he probably would have gotten it. I don't know.
Defensive Player of the Year
Come on,
presented by
guys.
CLC. I like
DeMar.
this one. Deron Bland from the Dallas Cowboys. Max Crosby, who sensational season. Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, TJ Watt. For all those wondering throughout, the full list is up at 9 to noon. You can find it on X, as the kids call it these days. Old schoolers call it Twitter. We wrap things on up next before we hand it off to Mike Heller, John Kuhn, Armin Sari, and Billy Schmidt. It's 9 to noon on the game.
Work at 8 a.m., finish round 5. All down, you don't see them outside. Yeah, they don't really be the same offline. You know dog days, you know hard times. Doing overtime for the last month.
worry, it's not Doug Russell taking over controls, because when Doug's on the board, you know Britney Spears is getting played at least 15 times throughout the day. No, it's still Armin Sarian, still Billy Schmidt, still John Kuhn. It's still 9 to noon. However, Britney's still being wild. John sent this one over earlier today from the Daily Loud. Update, Britney Spears now banned from the Four Seasons Hotel in Los Angeles. Like, well, why? Four Seasons. First off, I thought she lived in LA, so I don't know why exactly you'd have to say it's Four Seasons, but who doesn't want to go to the Four Seasons? Gorgeous spot.
It's a great hotel.
She's banned,
but
not for, not paying a bill, not for skipping out on a meal check. No, for going topless at their pool. Treating it like a nude beach in Paris. Going topless, banned from the pool for life. And many of our listeners are listening to that saying, damn, why was I not at the Four Seasons when I like this would have been, this is what many people were dreaming of, guys. They could have had happen in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been
this tells me one thing. Four Seasons is not hurting for occupancy. They are not hurting for rooms getting filled up.
They're not.
If you are hoping to fill up rooms, if you have like let's say 20% inventory left over on these rooms, the easiest way to get them in there is just have a couple of these photos leak and say, Brittany, wild out at the Four Seasons, baby.
This is better than the vacancy sign lit up on the front door. Yeah, way better.
There's they say, being, sometimes you want to be at the right place at the right time. There's a time. There's a time. I mean, like, people of dudes of my vintage.
Oh, Armin,
my
are
era.
you saying if this was Britney from back in the day, like toxic Britney, like when she was doing the video Toxic?
What about bald Britney?
I'm not going to complain, but I'm just
saying. You're telling me if this was 20-year-old Britney versus 40-year-old Britney, this would not have gotten her kicked out?
She was the heartthrob of the era. I mean, everybody, 80%
she was
of dudes
Taylor
I knew.
Swift before Taylor Swift.
Well, that's a little bit different, but she was, I mean.
How so?
Well, both the biggest pop star in the world.
Okay.
But I think Taylor's more about the music, and for some,
Britney was more about the
Britney
music
didn't
videos.
have bangers.
Of course, she had bangers. It's not about musical ability,
Well,
talent,
you
or
just said
success.
it was about the music.
I don't think people look at Taylor the way they look. Maybe I'm wrong, but like
I don't know.
80% of dudes I knew at my age had Britney posters on their wall. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know that many
Not
people
Taylor
have
Swift.
Taylor Swift posters on the wall of dudes in college.
So to some extent, was Britney bigger than Taylor Swift?
With the male demographic.
Maybe in some ways, yeah, maybe in some ways. But I'll tell you one thing. I just can't imagine being at that place, and that
all of a sudden
moment,
turn around and whoa,
what did Marv Levy used to say? I mean,
I don't know that I'd be thinking of Marv Levy when that was going down at the Four Seasons in Los Angeles.
some
but I would
reason,
have been thinking something.
Do you think the dads playing catch with their sons in the pool thought that when this happened?
I think it's more of just there's a lot of things.
Son, throw it over there. I'm going deep. Throw it right there.
How many dads got hit in the face with the ball? Dad, you're supposed to catch it. What?
Just the surreal nature of what was actually happening.
What happened
in that time?
Son, I'm going to do something that right now you're not going to understand, but might be the best thing that ever happened to you. Go long. What did I just run into?
What happened?
Yeah.
For some reason, I feel like I've been here before.
There's no PTSD from that response. Oh my God. I would. You're right, though. It's a marketing deal. Like these sports books will post, like our friends at Potawatomi. You can go and put $20 down and win $100,000. If you're the Four Seasons, you say, listen, you get a room for $129. You don't know what you're going to see at the pool. Just let you all know. It's a possibility.
Listen,
not anymore.
We got great food. We have great amenities. Our soap you're going to want to take with you because it smells so good and actually doesn't dry your skin out. And oh, by the way, Britney Spears nude.
Free entertainment.
I just can't imagine the wow, did that really just happened? The surrealness of the moment that you probably are thinking, well, if you are
four guys sitting around each other in the hot tub and all of a sudden like, hold on, did we just all dream that? And then all of a sudden Richie comes back in from the bathroom. You're like, dude, you're not going to believe what just happened. Come on, I missed it. Yeah, you did.
And that's the funny part too. Everybody between like 30 and 50 were mesmerized, and everybody under 30 there was like, what is this old lady doing?
It's like when the Cavs got Dwayne Wade. Is that what you're saying?
It's
Yeah, pretty much.
also a good spot where, you know, for all those folks that were saying that Britney Spears, she had to win that lawsuit against her folks or her dad because
The emancipation
deal.
Yeah.
Because, you know, she's got her head on straight. She's doing everything for herself.
Conservatorship.
Let her control her own money and end that conservatorship. Maybe there's a reason why she lost that court case. All right. That is our Quick Trip take home of the day presented by Quick Trip. Need something for dinner tonight? Don't cook. Stop by your local Quick Trip. Need something for dinner tonight? Don't cook. Stop by and grab one of their fantastic
chicken
meals.
Alfredo, potatoes, salad. He likes to stick to what he knows.
Like one of
Maybe
those.
a Matt Schneidman pause there. I didn't know.
How pregnant was that pause that I just took?
It was the Matt Schneidman.
15
pregnancy.
weeks?
9 months. It was
Yeah.
9 months.
Damn, I was full term?
Dilated.
Okay. I apologize there, guys. Oh, wow. Now
You're good.
This is probably a good one, Armin. This would probably be your take of the day on the talking text line from our friend Adam and Racine. Armin, how about Kelly Kapowski turning 50?
Well, yeah. I mean,
Wish she was at the Four Seasons.
Tiffany Thiessen, you know, I'm still looking great. I'm sure she was also like the heartthrob. She was like the GOAT of my generation, no doubt about it.
Posted a picture on Instagram of her in just a towel to celebrate her 50th birthday.
I mean, talk about GOATs.
You got to shower on your birthday.
You're
gotta
up
take a
there.
shower.
Yeah,
Birthday
she's
shower.
yeah.
True, you got to clean on up. We're gonna clean this
I'm not
show
mad
on
at
up.
it. Let's put
We're
it
gonna
that
take
way.
We're gonna take quick time out. We're gonna clean this show on up. Tomorrow at 9, it's gonna be PG-13 for John Kuhn, Armin Sarian. I'm Billy Schmid. Yeah, we can't promise that. We'll try to be better tomorrow on a Football Friday. It's 9 to noon on the Game.
I got a real funky concept. Listen up, cause I'm gonna keep you in step.